Greetings and salutations, fellow friends of England. The rightful master over the silly little dirty colonies and all of its silly little dirty people. Yes. It is as it should be. If only France hadn't sold Louisiana to America. Imagine how much better of a world it would have been. Imagine how much freer of a world it would have been under colonial rule. Ah. The promises of days gone past. You know, one of Napoleon's traitor generals was actually supposed to be sent to rule over Louisiana. The man who would eventually become King of Sweden, which I suppose is an even worse fate when one really comes to think of it. What was his name again? He took the name Bernadotte, of course, when he became King of Sweden, because it's a fine Swedish name, as you can hear in the fact that it's extraordinarily feminine. What was his name? Was it Baptiste? Jean-Baptiste? No. Was it? Maybe it was. Anyways, he abandoned poor little Napoleon to go be King of the Swedes, which was particularly vile and disgusting by any and all reasonable metrics, I would say. Oh, the Spanish. The Spanish are here too. I completely forgot that Spain used to have an empire. What's an unusual thought? What an unusual thought indeed. Oh god, okay, we're gonna be complaining probably quite a lot about Napoleon today, in all due likelihood. No. Because I did watch the movie, and I did do a little review on it, but even then, I forgot parts of how bad it was. I forgot elements of negativity that I could have hammered on about for longer, for greater periods of time, with considerably more vim and vigor. Oh no! Public servant died. Which one? Oh god, don't tell me. It was one of the good ones, wasn't it? Nope. My Treasury Minister, Ridley Baines, is still alive. And despite his numerous mistresses, he still has an absolutely enormous economic management score. Presumably because of his countless mistresses. You know, he's pretty good at juggling at this point. He's quite skilled at juggling, I would imagine. Revenant says Jean-Baptiste Bernadotte. Yeah, but Bernadotte was the name he took afterwards. I was wondering what his name was before that. Hello, Disco. Because he was a French dude to begin with. Obviously, you know, being born in France, etc. And he then became King of the Swedes. He was not originally Swedish, because, well, who would be Swedish if given a choice, after all? I don't like how the Indians keep, you know, bringing their numbers back together again. And this army has taken a little bit of a pounding, but so I would presume has that one.
Yes, my lord.
Let's see, there can't possibly be that many more of you left, right? You're gonna... Let's see, you gonna let me auto-resolve this, or are you gonna wipe out half my army if I try? Somehow, I managed to lose as many men as the Indians, which is... Good job. Good job there. That's gonna cost 10,000 goddamn bucks. Okay, well... Norris Kilgore, which is a pretty good name, is just going to have to pick up the slack then. But hey, with a name like Kilgore, I imagine he'll be pretty good at it. What else were we doing? I need more trade, don't I? I feel like I always need more trade. What about the late Indiamans? Can I build? Yes, I can. Let's build some of those. They're ridiculously expensive in comparison to everything else, but they also actually have weaponry, which is kind of useful. See, one of the other dumb things about the Napoleon movie is I don't know why they do this. I actually genuinely don't know why they do this. Normally I'm using that as a rhetorical point. Like, I actually do know why they do this, but I don't know how the way they do this. It's the filter. The weird-ass grey filter that they put over everything. Oh, who's that? Who are you? You are a... industrialist. Lovely. Didn't I have an industrial college? I think it was that one. Go down there. the grey filter. Like, the Napoleonic era was justly famed for having extravagant outfits and remarkable uniforms. Like, the hussars were allowed to design their own uniforms, and they tended to go pretty damn far overboard with some of it, as it was a good way to attract the females. Always the damned females. They remain a problem, even in the SDs. This led to some pretty strident designs, with, of course, all of the various regiments also competing to make the most ridiculous and over-the-top design. You know, bright reds, blues, greens. Greens was a particular favorite of Napoleon as well as the Russians too, who thought green was rather fetching. And, of course, assloads of, I don't need this anymore, burn it to the ground now, assloads of gold and silver details and frogging, etc. You know, beautiful, beautiful decorated uniforms. And yet, throughout the entire movie, you'd never be able to tell that, because all of the uniforms are just basically grey. Because they place that dumbass filter over everything. Like, Joaquin Phoenix himself is not necessarily the healthiest looking of individual, let's be honest here. He still bears a little bit too much of the Joker role in him, but he looks like a fucking corpse throughout the entirety of the Napoleon movie. Like, Josephine looks like a wax doll mock-up of herself. Like, even Dumas the Elder looks weird. Oh, hello there, Indians. You have decided to declare war on me.
I have lost.
I shall accept your challenge. This is the more ass army, because it's got the shit-ass grenadiers, but we'll do it. This guy looks a little bit like Henry Cavill, if Henry Cavill was a pinch more feminine. I don't think that's a good thing, but I'm just pointing it out. Alex Piercy, donates $5. Thank you very much. Say, as a southern redneck, I am obliged to say that everything before 1776 is Britain's fault. Therefore, purge Dev for Britain's sins. To be fair, purging Dev for sins is hardly even necessary. We can simply just purge Dev. Nice and simple. I don't need to come up with any fanciful excuses here. Just purge Dev. He is a communist, after all. Ah, it's nice and foggy today. Lovely. I have been particularly disappointed by the mounted pioneers. Is it just me, or is this suddenly a lot louder again? I feel like the volume in this game changes every single time I load up a scenario somehow. Oh. Well, hi there. Oh, good day indeed. Are you, you are, aren't you? Okay, right, well. Turning around. What's in front of me? A couple of dudes. Okay, send the good Americans. Send the good Native Americans to deal with the bad Native Americans, and everybody else turn around. Why do you do this game? It's like, hey, let's reverse the entire line. You could not, but if you insist, I feel like maybe they do it because they think it looks dramatic, because they think it makes it look somber. Like, they're like, oh, you know, I'm gonna make a really sad story about Napoleon. It's gonna be real gritty and dark and shit or something. And therefore everything just has to be grey and dull and boring. As if I was making a fucking Batman movie or something. Maybe. That's a really bad idea, because, you know, again, the entire point of the Napoleonic era really was, well, gaudiness, really, over-the-toppedness, you know? Everything was supposed to be incredible. You take one of the most vibrant eras in human history, and you just go like, no, make it grey. It's probably also, okay, I partially blame Joaquin Phoenix for this, okay? Unfair though it may be, I partially blame Phoenix. Because I get this sneaking feeling that Ridley Scott, the director, right, was looking at Phoenix's, a Joker, right? Because that was a stellar, a standout, absolute magnificent performance, right? And so he thinks to himself, okay, well,
service guarantees.
I would like to win an Oscar too, so let's do that again. But, like, dude, like, we're making a movie about Napoleon. He wasn't really known to be a brooding sociopath or anything.
Service
Well,
guarantees citizenship.
not until today he wasn't. Because I do definitely think that Phoenix brings far too much of the Joker to the role. And don't get me wrong, he doesn't do it in the same, like, Joker-y way. He's not that kind of hackney actor who's completely, like, stuck in a role or anything. It's just, he focuses way more than he ever should on Napoleon's vulnerabilities. God damn it. Is this way louder than he was? I feel like this is way louder than he was. It isn't, though. God help me, this game confused the shit out of me sometimes. Right, let's try that. Now everything's gonna be completely silent, I bet. But yeah, he brings too much of the melancholy to the role of Napoleon. You know, if the modders could fix one thing with this game, it would at least be the suicidal goddamn general cavalry. That would be nice, because that would make at least the battles a pinch more normal, instead of absolutely goddamn retarded. Oh, God, Empire. You know, I've been praising Empire a lot, because there's a lot to praise in Empire. There's a lot of mechanics that Empire has that modern Total War just actually don't have. And yet, Empire Total War was a failure. That's the absurdity of this. Like, Empire Total War was considered actually quite the genuine flop when it came out, because it didn't do anywhere near enough to expand upon the Total War formula. In fact, in many ways, modding in particular, it was actually a sizable step in reverse. And yet, of course, again, with the benefit of hindsight and modernity, we look at it and go like, wow, yeah, that was actually a pretty damn good video game, wasn't it? Ah, what a sad, sad world.
Citizenship.
Right, we're gonna do the everything in one enormous cluster, are we? Very well. We're Rome 2ing this bitch. Not that I necessarily mind, because I am going to win that mass melee. But sir, I thought we had muskets. I thought so too, but, well... Go, boys, go. Maybe there'll be a firefight on the other end of the field. Maybe. In fact, I probably actually need to deploy you in such a way that you can shoot. There we go. Now, this is a classic Total War battle right here. A big mass fucking confused melee. Now, to be fair, I mean, they're Indian savages. You know, what do you expect? This might actually be their best chance of at least inflicting some casualties on me before they're all wiped off the map, so I suppose I shouldn't complain too loudly. I should get back to complaining about the filters instead, yes. So, everything in the entire movie is shot in a grey filter, making everything look cold and uninviting and brooding, kind of. And in some scenes, it kind of makes sense, because obviously Napoleon's relationship with Josephine was not very good a lot of the time. In fact, his relationship with Josephine was downright awful a lot of the time. The two were not good for each other, by any stretch of the imagination. Josephine, of course, literally started the relationship just because he was an up-and-coming brigadier general at the time, and figured he'd waffle off to war and get himself shot in Italy. You know, that was pretty much Josephine's plan, not exactly a warm and loving relationship there. Meanwhile, Napoleon was head over heels for Josephine. Oh, actually, I think her name was actually Joseph, or Josephina, or Josephina something. Josephine was actually a nickname that Napoleon made up for her, and that she would eventually officially adopt, because once she began to realize just how easy of a gravy train she was on, she was desperate to keep going on the gravy train, no matter what. Meanwhile, Napoleon, of course, being completely and utterly betrayed by the woman he loved above anything else, was not very fond of Josephine either at a certain point. And had Well, there was one lover in Egypt. There was there was a couple lovers in France. There was the Polish woman, which he fell again head over heels for, as Napoleon tended to fall in love often and deeply. And so I get that. Okay, you want to kind of demonstrate the kind of ass backwards relationship, okay? And since you're not actually a good enough director or a writer to make do with, you know, telling this story or showing it through visual storytelling, you just slap a fucking filter onto every single goddamn scene. But at least take it off then, you know? Once you're actually finished with the with the dull and dreary scene of Napoleon and Josephine beating each other up, just take it off. Remove it. At least in the battle scenes, goddammit. But no. The filter stays. I wonder if this is actually some sort of fetish that you've developed in Hollywood over the years or something. Like, after one too many cocaine parties, the world is just either grey or vivid technicolors at some point. Like, you see in the spectrum of light and color of a fucking mantis shrimp, right? And so when you're looking at the preview, it looks like somebody on meth made it. And then you need to go like, well, I'll need to adjust this down a little bit. And to normal human beings, just grey sludge. I think that is actually a fairly decent theory, honestly. There. More dead Indians. Is that a city? I hope that's a city. JD says, JD is a new gold standard. No, that's what one said. That's his name. Cavill would have been an age-appropriate Napoleon. Movie was less I am Napoleon Emperor and more I am my wife's boyfriend. What's Austerlitz? Yes. Yes, it really kind of was. Like, God. I cannot overstate how important Austerlitz was. I literally cannot. Like, it became part of French culture. Like, the son of Austerlitz became an imperial symbol of Napoleon. It was of enormous importance. And it was a victory that, in many ways, actually kind of screwed Napoleon, interestingly enough. Because everyone then finally sat back and went like, okay, we don't seem to be winning any battles against this guy, so what are we doing wrong? And they finally began studying Napoleon's tactics, or more correctly, his strategy, as Napoleon won his battles through strategy, far more correctly, than via tactics. Free city? Not free city, actually. Occupied city. Do I have a garrison force nearby, actually? Sorta, kinda, pseudo, not really. Okay, we'll begin moving that over there. In fact, I can... Well, actually, no, the American militia will be required to take over Savannah, Georgia. Am I taxing Savannah, Georgia? I am. Good. What's on about? Oh, yes. The son of Austerlitz, in many ways, actually was part of Napoleon's defeat, because everyone saw what he was doing and was like, well, that works. In fact, it works incredibly well. Let's do that. And in the movie, it's literally a keikakudori. That's all it is. Like, Napoleon sets up this retarded trap where it's like, oh, yes, we'll trick the Austrians onto the ice, and then we'll bombard them. But, my lord, they're coming in at perfect enfilade positions. We could just fire our mass cannon batteries directly down their line of combat, slaughtering thousands in every volley, and forcing them to turn directly towards us and then bayonet charge them in the flank. We could just do that and probably slaughter them wholesale. No, we must use the eyes, because I'm retarded. Yes, my emperor. God, it was so fucking awful. Like, the Battle of Austerlitz does not need a keikakudori. It was a just-as-planned moment, but on a so much grander and stunning stage than I use the eyes to draw in, like, 5 rations. Mr. Twisted Frenzy donates 10 euros, thank you very much. Say, hey Arch, do you know if the game Call of Cthulhu is any good? I've never read or played any Lovecraft media, but I see it on sale on Steam, and I'm curious if it's worth a go, I'm presuming. I have no goddamn idea. I've never been a Lovecraft fan. Lovecraft I view as lazy horror. I've never been a fan of the whole, it's so scary, I can't possibly describe it to you. To me, that makes the horror significantly less horror-y. Like, I prefer my monsters to be, you know, monsters. Weirdly enough. So the Cthulhu thing's never intrigued me, but if you're a fan of supernatural mystery but fuckery horror, then Lovecraft should be awesome. Like, everybody says he's awesome, so I'm presuming they're right. No idea about the game, though. I have seen quite a lot of Call of Cthulhu games on Steam, and even with my limited understanding of the series, they do look pretty cheap. Bearing in mind, of course, also that Call of Cthulhu, I'm pretty sure, is copyright-free, as in anyone can use it. There was even the tabletop RPG released a few years ago, where the creators, in the first page, literally disassociated themselves with H.P. Lovecraft, going like, well, you know, we quite like the earnings potential of his universe, but Lovecraft himself had a cat named the N-word, and so he decided to reject him. First of all, I think it was actually his dad's cat as well, but details. It's very modern year, very current year, so yes. We'd love to earn money off this guy, but we don't actually like him or anything. That'd be racist. Which is pretty much how people are currently treating Dune, that video game, for example, which turn all of his characters into women or black. Yeah, we're more than happy to monetize his creations. We just don't want to, you know, represent them in any sort of a faithful way. I suppose it's nice that they're being honest about it, you know. Low bar, but hey. Alright, you silly little cannons. You have found yourself in a goddamn valley. Actually, you know, if I wasn't a dumbass, I could have just went back and found a hill, actually, because the enemy is attacking me, so they've got to come to me, and so I could have just lined up the cannons someplace where, you know, they might actually have been effective, instead of the dip of a valley, but such is life. Hindsight and all that. Alright, lads, don't stand in front of the cannons. You saw what happened to the rest of you last time you tried that. JD is the new gold standard, says, Waterloo is still the best Napoleon. I did not usurp the crown, I found it in the gutter, and I picked it up with my sword. Yes. Well, Waterloo. If you Google Waterloo 1970, you'll probably find it. It is probably to date the best movie about Napoleon, which is mildly tragic because it's like, oh, you're gonna walk in front of the cannons, aren't you? Yes, you are. It's like 50 years old, and it has the best battle scenes in movie history, straight up, even into the modern day, by far, because they brought in, like, I think, like, something like 10,000+ Red Army personnel to dress up in Napoleonic-era uniforms, plus, you know, riding horses and stuff, and actually LARP out, fully recreate the Battle of Waterloo, including the largest cavalry fight ever put to film, with real cavalry. It is beautiful. Like, it is astonishing. And the fact that, despite having budgets 50, 60 times that now, we can't get to that level is just fucking sad. Well, think about it. Today, we make a Marvel move and it costs $200 million, right? And it's just CGI puppets punching each other's in the dick. Like, that's what $200 million... Hello? Oh, we're doing this again, are we? Okay. Well, tragically, you're out of range of my cannons. Otherwise, that would have been pretty funny. But, very well. We are going to do strategy ball yet again. Alright. Oh, I've got a lot of muskets this time, so I guess we'll just calmly march on over there and deploy in mass execution formations. Another enormous clump. God help me. Imagine what you could actually do with $200 million. Imagine how many people you could get to show up, to dress up in uniforms and march around a bit for $200 million. Like, good God. You could probably do Waterloo today for that enormous of a budget. And yet, we waste it all on people punching each other in the dick in make-believe fairy tale universes. Ugh. Reverend Norse says, Han heter John Bernadotte, son of Henry Bernadotte, och John St. John. Sen tog han namnet Carl John som sitt svenska namn som kung. Was that it? Bernadotte. Was that his reason? I thought Bernadotte was the name he took. Eh. He was a traitor anyways, who cares? He was a traitor anyways, who cares? No, that is my official response, actually. Is that... Yes, that's the chief's bodyguard there. Literally, the chief's bodyguard, singular, today. Alright, Chief I don't give a fuck 73rd, the 73rd. I, General Kilgore, will take on... Oh, never mind. I was about to say, I'll take on your challenge. Now that I outnumber you, seriously. But now that you're going to be ring friends, never mind. Concerned. Exposed flank. Yeah, I'd be fucking concerned too if I was 143 dudes charging like 2,000. Indians, why? I was gonna line this up into like an actual battle or something. You're not gonna let me do that, are you? You're just gonna be gay. God damn it. I was looking forward to surrounding them and shooting them all. Instead, this is what I get. Alright, well, fine. Get into line formation and get ready to shoot them all. If they insist. God, the suicide generals. Due to being busy marching, I was actually deployed quite effectively in deep formations to deal with that, so, you know. Lucky break. Speaking of lucky break, I'm pretty sure I had my cavalry over here. I did. And hell, even if you can't get enough people, right? Just tell the army. Just go to the goddamn army and be like, hey, we need like 30,000 guys to dress up in uniforms for a little bit and pretend to be French. You think the army would object? You think the army would actually object? I don't think so. I think they would be like, okay, well, you know, we'll put out the word for volunteers, I guess, and we'll see if anybody volunteers. And they will have to beat off people with a stick, as literally everyone in camp will volunteer. It'll probably cause a public orders disturbance due to the sheer number of people wanting to LARP as Napoleonic soldiers. I suspect it might violate a few labor laws, but who the fuck cares? Seriously, who the fuck cares? Let's make those movies again. That's what we need to make. Something else we need to make is a button that turns off the fog effect in Total War games, as I'm kind of annoyed by the fact that I can't see what's going on 98% of the time. I'm pretty sure there's some Indians somewhere over here. And I'm partially tempted to just say screw this whole shooting thing and just fix bayonets and continuously charge them until they all die. As that has been a very successful tactic so far. Alright, chase down the filthy heathens. Total War has always needed, and will always need, a just fucking attack whatever's in front of you button. Seriously, it actually kind of does. Right, just follow those to the ends of the earth.
Fire is the answer.
And start hitting those guys over the heads with blunt objects, please.
Heresy's the question.
Lovely.
Fire is the answer.
And so the battle pretty much fought itself at that point. Unironically, it basically does. There. Everything engaged? I think so. Fast forward. To return to the point about Joaquin Phoenix, though, because I do think that is one that definitely deserves significantly more investigation. Phoenix is one of, if not the straight-up best actor in Hollywood at the moment, in my opinion. It's straight up. I don't think there's anyone better than him. But you still got to use the actor correctly. That is something that a lot of directors apparently keep forgetting. As even though Phoenix is an excellent actor, and he does have some excellent scenes as well, like there are a couple of really good scenes where he's, okay, they kind of ruined some of them too though, because he needs to break up with Josephine. And this was a very somber and official occasion, because both of them had kind of fallen back in love at that point, but they needed an heir. Unironically, they did, otherwise the entire goddamn empire would fall into, disarray, which would be kind of shitty, and lead to civil war and all manners of garbage. And so he needed to find a new wife, and they knew at this point that it wasn't Napoleon who was infertile. And Josephine understood this as well, and Napoleon even insisted on plenty of privileges for Josephine. For example, he insisted that even after they were divorced, she would be allowed to keep the title of Empress. They got along fairly well over this. As for Josephine, too, this was a long time coming. And yet in the movie, it's as if Napoleon is forcing this on Josephine, and Josephine is like, oh, I finally fell in love with you. How could you do this? I love you. To the point where he needs to slap the shit out of her to get her to sign. Why? Actually, why? Well, once again, we know why. Okay, are you gonna attack me here? Why? Why are you gonna attack me here? Seriously, stop it. Very well, though. Santum donates $5 and says, "Thank you, Arch, for the Beyblade lore video today. It's much appreciated that the humble mortals of the Imperium are giving some lore videos. You're very welcome." A Beyblade is pretty cool, though. And hardly a humble mortal. It's a very large mortal. Oh god, the fortifications. Yay. Now, I wish the fortifications were, good, but honestly, they didn't feel very good last time I used them. We might as well use them again, see how they fared the second time. Right, so immediately in front of me, I think, is about 5 dudes. So there's no reason not to go and just kill them first. Unless, of course, they deploy really, really far back. And it's going to be quite a walk to get to them. Okay, well. Where is the rest of the... there they are, okay. Say, Chief's bodyguard. What's that, then? These are... Scouts Tribe. I have no idea. Well, send the Pioneers to play with those, and, we'll send the cavalry to receive the chief in his usual suicide charge. See, this too is part of just classic Total War coding history, isn't it? Like, the fact that they never managed to figure out how to, like, this passed beta testing, right? Now, this didn't just pass beta testing. This passed into the completed game. This passed years of patching. This passed an expansion, right? The fact that the enemy general will just ride ahead of his own troops with no care in the world and charge the first unit he sees. This got through production, it got through checks, it got through the beta testing, it got through alpha, it got through the release of Empire, and it got through the release of Napoleon. It got through several pieces of DLC. And of course, survived the ending of support for the entire game. One really wonders how CA is still a company. One really kind of does. Like, how do they still exist? How were they not just, yeeted by the wayside by hordes of screaming fans years ago? How has there not been a serious and long-term spat of arsonists incursions at Creative Assembly offices? It's actually difficult to understand when you really, really think about it. Ah, well. Hello, hunters. I don't know if you've noticed, but you are under fire. You do possess ranged weapons of your very own. You could potentially return fire. Oh, maybe. Alright, well, if you're gonna try and return fire, I'm just gonna charge you, so eat, thick, and die. But we saw skirmishers, no! I feel like pioneers wouldn't really have sabers. Like, the saber was actually a pretty complicated and, expensive weapon at the time. Especially, like, the hilted ones. If anything, they might have, like, wood-hilted sabers. Or maybe, like, straight swords? Or probably more likely they'd be using tools and implements. Axes, straight up. I don't know. How common were swords in the, like, early colonists' times? Because, I mean, the sword wasn't, like, the biggest status symbol anymore. It wasn't like the Viking Age, where, having a sword was a really fucking big deal or anything, but it wasn't common either, I imagine. Especially not like a cavalry saber. The enemy has decided to deploy on my flank, which means that my poor sandbags are honestly kind of pointless, so I guess we'll deploy in battle lines. Right, cavalry. Any obvious opportunities to murder a unit or two? I think there is. I definitely think there is. But Sir Chieftain, should we not await the rest of our enormous army before we approach those 400 heavy horsemen on the hill? No. The great spirits of our ancestors say, charge. But, sir, all of our ancestors are dead. Yes, your point? Oh, nothing. Just suggesting that their tactical acumen might not be up to snuff. But anyways, charge. See, this is the problem with an ancestral worship culture, right? If you're truly worshipping your ancestors, you really should try to, learn from their mistakes. And I feel like the Cherokee Nation has made ample mistakes in recent history. Never mind previous history. On the flip side, I suppose you could argue that they were also a fairly successful conquering nation for, savage standards, but... let's not go inside the woods. I have learned my lesson about going inside of the woods with cavalry. Zero donates £2 and says, Arch, I blinked and Ireland is on fire. It is! I hear that far-right rebellion is currently going on in Ireland. Which, see, I have no frame of reference for what's going on in Ireland right now, but the news told me it was a far-right uprising, so I don't know. It sounds pretty good to me. Is it... Okay, somebody actually needs to tell me. Is it far right as in Argentina's extreme libertarianism? Or is it, you know, the IRA or something? Fuck knows. Do the IRA even still exist? I feel like they might be somewhat, I don't know, outdated at this point? Or not, maybe. Is Britain still oppressing Ireland? I have no actual fucking clue whatsoever. Radion Prime donates 100 Polish whatever the thingamybobs. Say, for that kind of money, you can make a lice action film at the Siege of Rax. Live, I'm presuming. And yes, you could, like, unironically. Okay. Like, seriously, though. I have no idea how they spend modern-day budgets. Honestly, I don't. But $200 million, right? 200 million fucking bucks. Tell me you cannot get a serious amount of extras for $200 million. Like, come on. You should get at least a couple thousand guys for that, right? And with modern CGI... Okay. Instead of doing the CGI, what you do is... You get 2,000 guys, right? And you have them form up in era-appropriate formations, right? And you have them move across a field. Nice and simple. And then you use CGI to copy that and green screen and etc. And you move it over somewhere else so that you can have multiple formations of guys moving together. And it'll be the same 2,000 guys. And so you're going to have to do like a couple of takes, etc. so that you've got a couple of different formations moving over different terrain, right? You could easily make that look pretty good. And I pretty much guarantee you, it would look a lot better than the CGI shit that we have everywhere today. You know what the problem is? You know what the actual problem probably is? It's gonna be unions, isn't it? It's going to be fucking unions. It's going to be that the actors extra union or whatever is like, no, you can't just hire people off the street. You need accredited unionists, you see. Otherwise, you can't make a movie. Unions kill everything. I swear to God they do. I'm right, too. I fucking know it. I know it. The moment I mention it, I'm like, yep, that's guaranteed to be it. That's got to be it. Not to mention, okay, you probably couldn't even, you probably wouldn't even need to pay a lot of them. Like, contact reenactment groups. In America, there's assloads of them, right? Contact reenactment groups and go, okay, we're shooting the Battle of Gettysburg, for example. And would you like to help? And I'm sure you could get a few hundred people that way alone who would just jump at the chance to be in on what they would view as an enormous goddamn adventure. Not to mention the opportunity to be movie stars, you know? You know, throw their names in the credit, etc. Like, with thanks to the Georgia Reenactors Corporation, blah, 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 or something. Maybe do like a behind-the-scenes interviews, extra content, like... I swear to God, this can't possibly be that difficult. It genuinely cannot possibly be that difficult. Right, cavalry. You know what time it is. Is it attack the savages with everything we've got time? You're correct. It is that time a lot, to be fair. I do love how unfathomably effective heavy cavalry is against the natives, though. I really do. Because, well, this is kind of what happened. Like, this is kind of how the West was won, unironically. The Europeans had horses. And horses are a pretty goddamn enormous advantage. Not just strategically in being able to move anywhere you want, but tactically, because a dude on a horse is going to have a much better advantage over a guy on foot. Not to mention also, again, as we talked about previously, the effect of massed formations is of an absolute deciding nature. Shit. If you're in a war where one part has the ability to form into actual, like, blocks of infantry and charge en masse, versus people scattered across a huge area, beating war drums, the outcome is not ever really going to be in any doubt or question, really. And the rest of the savages are defeated. I long for more determined opposition. I long for the line warfare of Europe. Ironically, I do. I need to invade Europe at some point in the relative near future. Bowmen, native musketeers, fodder, all of them. I have no idea why. I don't even remember that being a bug in the base game, so I actually think that was probably a mod bug, which is an interesting one. So John says, the riots in Dublin was because an Algerian guy stabbed 3 kids and 2 adults. A teacher and a bystander who tried to stop him. The usual suspects are calling the riots in response to this a far-right surge. Ah. Yep, that sounds just about right, honestly. That sounds just about right. There was a little machete of peace attack, and the civilian populace didn't want it no more, weirdly enough. And seeing as people are pissed off about that, that is, of course, an act of good old-fashioned racismus. As they are no doubt targeting the people who, you know, committed the stabbing. To be fair, mob justice is always going to be dodgy at best, as, well, we saw this after 9/11, for example, that whole kerfuffle, where there were quite a lot of Indians who got their shit kicked in, because people had no goddamn idea what Afghanistan was, or the Taliban was, or anything like that. And so they were pretty much just like, well, brown people, I guess. You know, fair enough. Mob justice has its weaknesses. No doubt about it. But back then, at least, we had the wherewithal to recognize the thing for what it was. Mob justice. You know, people who were angry and looking for some way to vent, rather than going like, ah, yes, the far right resurgent across Europe. The far right. That really is a term that we just need to stop using until we relearn what the far right means. Which, according to the definition, is apparently libertarianism. So, what I guess we're saying is that libertarian violence has rocked Ireland after after stabbings. Libertarian violence. I like the sound of that. That would make for a pretty good headline. Libertarian violence rocks Ireland. I like it. We should definitely go with that in the future. That is a pretty looking gun, actually. You know, it's hovering in midair, which is a bit weird, but still.
Prepare the troops for battle.
Carbines, yes. A letter of demand from Kentucky. The native populace of Kentucky have written me a letter protesting their treatment. I don't know what I'm most impressed by. The fact that the natives of Kentucky can write, or the fact that the natives of Kentucky thought I might listen. Either way, the natives of Kentucky are going to be sorely disappointed. Speaking of as well, so I will praise Napoleon for one thing. There was remarkably little diversity in the movie. There was remarkably little diversity. In fact, the diversity they did have, they used pretty well. In that they featured General Dumas. I don't remember his first name, because you probably heard the name Dumas, as of course his son, not the guy himself, not the general, but his son, became one of, if not France's by far most famous writer. That's probably where you've heard the name Dumas. He was the one who wrote the Count of Monte Cristo, was it? The Prisoner in the Iron Mask and all that? Or am I getting my ancient French writers mixed up? But he's in the movie. And even then, they don't even acknowledge him, which, to be fair, they don't acknowledge anyone in the movie. Like, I think Ney has, like, 3 sentences in the entire movie. Like, Davout, perhaps one of Napoleon's most... Why the fuck are you over there? God help me. Davout, one of Napoleon's most brilliant and underestimated as well, underrated, perhaps more correctly, generals. I don't think he's even in the movie. At least I don't remember seeing his little bald head anywhere. Kuznetsov is not in the movie at all. At all. Like, there's even a scene where Tsar Alexander meets Josephine. And he goes like, "Oh, Josephine, your charms are significant, you know, because you're the female character in this movie, fluff fluff. But we have a bond, you and I. I, too, know what it's like to be underestimated," as if he was the one who defeated Napoleon. Like, yes, you know, I beat Napoleon. No, you didn't, you fucking child. Kuznetsov defeated Napoleon. And even then, how did he defeat Napoleon? By going like, well, if we just keep moving backwards into our retardedly large country, eventually the French will run out of food. Which was true. In fact, it was Alexander and the other generals who insisted on the Battle of Borodino, where, of course, the Russians took a major defeat, losing, what was it, 38 or 40,000 men in comparison to the French 28,000? Which, 28,000 dead was actually a really large number by Napoleon standards. He was used to far more crushing victories than that, but that was still a massive defeat for the Russians, and forced them to turn to Kuznetsov once again and go like, okay, maybe hiding like little girls in the woods is the correct strategy. Because it was. Oh, you're actually gonna come to me, are you? Okay, well, in that case, I guess I'll turn around then. Double time it back home, lads. We brought this artillery all the way here, so it would feel kind of, well, wasteful if we didn't actually utilize it for at least a little bit of the combat, you know? We spent a lot of time and effort, blood, sweat, and tears to bring these guns. Might as well utilize them. Chat mentions Sharp. Sharp was a really cool TV show. And a TV show in which, oh god, what's his name? Oh god, what was his name? Ned Stark. You know the guy I'm talking about. Sean Bean. Sean Bean was his name. It's a show in which Sean Bean doesn't die, which is quite the thing, honestly, quite the thing. Good TV show, too. It's a little draggy, because it's a very old TV show. Like, it might be an acquired taste, but it's excellent, like, background noise, if nothing else. Sean Bean says chat, yes. Sharps was good, and it had an excellent part on Waterloo as well, as it depicts Waterloo as, I think it's like a mini series, isn't it? Like, because Waterloo is a multi-episode battle depicting Sharp and Sharp's rifles taking part in Waterloo, fighting alongside the Duke of Orange, I believe. The Duke of Orange was also fairly famous at the time, although he was a bit of an amateur tactician at that particular point, and he does get the rifles in a fair bit of troubling positions here and there. One of the things I also quite liked about Sharp is they had it had a good way of actually demonstrating that the French weren't actually complete fucking tards. It's a weakness with mini shows like that, where you have like the hero and you've got the hero's band fighting in a war to depict the enemy as complete and utter pushovers. Sharp's rifles actually get utterly decimated at several points, even needing to go back to Britain to like raise and levy fresh reinforcements to take over all of the casualties they've suffered. They also demonstrate a tremendous amount of respect for the French during the Battle of Waterloo as well. There is one point where I think the Duke of Orange, he sees a bunch of I think they were British infantry in an opening in a square formation, and they're getting picked at by voltigeurs, skirmishers. And he's like, "Why are those men in a square formation? They're getting slaughtered in there. You little fucking silly goddamn Indians. Where are you going? Make up your mind." Well, actually, you don't need to, because if you're just going to waffle around in front of me, my cannons will actually do their job, finally. And it looks silly, right? Because they're in a dense, heavily packed formation, getting shot at from all edges. So you're like, well, this is obviously suicide. What the hell are they doing? Well, he then issues the order that the men are to break out of their square formation and begin forming into line formation. And Sharp is like, we don't know what's going on here, sir. Like, we probably shouldn't do this. This could be a really goddamn bad idea. But he insists because he's young and he knows better than this silly little British veteran, right? Turns out, it was a very good reason why they were in a square formation. It was because in the woods surrounding them, they were surrounded by French cuirassiers, heavy cavalry. And the moment they break their square formation, the cuirassiers pounce and slaughter the entire unit. Yes. That was a lovely scene. That was quite a lovely little scene. Are we actually going to get a gun battle today? My, how very nice. Man. Why is Empire Total War a more aesthetically pleasing game than Rogue? Like, seriously, why? Like, this looks good. I mean, even ignoring the fact that half of my army is probably dunking their shots into the fucking hill in front of them. They probably are. Because they're too... Again, the game has no line of sight whatsoever. So they're probably just smashing all of their musket balls into that hill in front of them there. Oh, Empire Total War, you are such a terrible game, and yet... you are also such a wonderful reminder of all of the things we just don't have anymore. Oh boy. It is a bittersweet reminder of days gone by. I kind of wish, okay, you know what, Total War should actually go back to the clone armies, because I'm sure that's easier on the entrance or something. I don't know if it is. I mean, actually, should it be? I mean, in essence, all you're really doing is like texture swaps, right? That shouldn't require a whole lot of engine performance, really. But if they did, bigger battles would be so much better. Again, screw the idea of individual... I just noticed. The chief's bodyguard hasn't suicided themselves yet. My god. Well. Never mind. If you're not going to turn this battle into an enormous one-sided melee clump, then by the God Emperor I shall. By king and country, I will. Charge the heathens. They need to adopt, like, regimental formations. That's what Total War really needs to do. Like, that needs to be the next big innovation in Total War. Instead of having units of 200 guys, you command blocks of units. Like, your average infantry formation should be, like, a platoon, at least, divided into companies. Or preferably, like a brigade, you know? Where you have 2 or 3 solid blocks of troops, And they actually act like blocks of troops rather than single units. So, say you charge one, right? And you get through the first 2 blocks of units. You're still going to have to get through 2 others. And these units will be able to then, operate independently of one another. So that you actually will have staged mass battles in more of a regimented fashion. Because that is one thing that all of these games get wrong as well when they're doing formations. They always make the formation as if it was just a bunch of dudes. What you should have is, let's see. Let's demonstrate here. Alright, run, guys. Run, 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 run. Alex Adamson asked, why must you stream right as you release lore video? Because the lore video will always be there. But the stream will go away in the near future. I should do that thing that that Markiplier did, where the what was that? The Unus Arnum, the 1 year channel that they deleted after a year with a bunch of other content creators. That was actually a really goddamn clever idea. Like, I bet you that channel got views like nobody would ever imagine. In large parts, probably because everyone's like, oh my god, I'm gonna miss out, gotta watch it. Ah! That was probably really fucking clever. Are you running, Americans? There you go. Okay, right. So, this sort of a formation should be 1 unit. And then you can click on it and you can give it some different formations as well. You can make it like a column of march, for example, to create an assault column. Or you could even form it into a line where only like 1 regiment remains at the front. But this should be the basic formation. So that it engage with these 2 units first. And these 2 units will then have separate morale meters. So say that this unit is routed, right? Then it will start routing and falling back, but as intended, the reserve unit will then move up to take its place. Whereas the other unit will then move into the middle to set up another reserve position. So that if that unit is routed, they'll move up and reinforce instead. Then, you might also do that awful Total War thing, where they're like, oh, we want to have units break and reform the units and stuff. Okay, now you can do that without the micromanagement, because what... You little shits. I saw you back there. Kill. Because once this unit breaks, it doesn't actually break. You don't have to go and fetch this unit manually or remember it. Simply, when it reforms, it's just going to go and rejoin its tied unit. Nice and simple. Simultaneously, if this unit is attacked, right? If the units in front, they are the only ones fighting, these will be reserves and they'll move in necessary. This would also give weight to using something like a column of attack, which was a tactic that I think Napoleon started pioneering, where he would place units behind each other in a long column, sort of like a column of march, but far... You're going to start interrupting my examples, aren't you, little piece of shit? But far wider. The aim was to smash the column through the center of the enemy formation and then start expanding out right and left. That way, you would both shatter the enemy's formation and you would start separating them, which would of course get the men to start acting very anxious because, well, they couldn't see their friends anymore. They couldn't see the banner bearer, they couldn't see their commanding officer, so on and so on. And once they were then getting attacked in the flank too, that meant that the unit often broke. It would allow you to introduce far more in the way of actual formation management to games. And hey, you could even potentially make your own formations. Like, say you wanted a militia unit, right? But you've got enough to add in a artillery unit. Okay, so say you want an artillery unit in the front line, because that was absolutely a strategy that a lot of nations used because of grape shot. Or maybe you wanted behind it in the case of a mortar, and you could customize the formation before battle. That would be so much cooler in my opinion. Anyways, we were fighting Native Americans who have elected to kind of just stop over there and, you know, form up. Okay, well, we'll resume our advance towards the Americans. Wait, are these... Oh, these are fresh Americans. Oh, okay. Right. I'll have the cavalry and the good guy Americans deal with those then. There we go. Burnson, 5 euros, says, this period of warfare is so weird to me. I can't imagine standing there awkwardly staring at the enemy formation for a minute while both sides reload. Well, that is kind of the big deal with it. It was a type of warfare that acquired enormous nerve. And it was primarily due to the limitations of the weaponry at hand. The problem was that the musket was an absolute shit weapon. It really was. Like, a good musket was accurate up to, like, 50, 60 paces. 30, 40 meters, maybe. And even that's kind of pushing it, right? And even then, it's sort of accurate. And that was due to the musket ball being round. And there being no rifling in the battle, meaning that the musket ball would literally go rattling and shaking down the battle, which was usually significantly larger, significant in, you know, gunsmithing terms anyways, than the bullet, so you wouldn't even have a tight fit. And so when the bullet finally left the battle, only God and Jesus and fate knew which direction that bullet would be flying. If you're very lucky, and statistically most of the time, the bullet would be heading in a 45, 30 degrees direction in front of the weapon. If you were unlucky, the damn thing could theoretically shoot straight up or straight down for all you fucking knew, right? If it caught the lip of the battle. And that meant that the only way to have fire be really effective was to shoot loads and loads of bullets at the same time. Because if you've got one guy shooting, he might not hit a whole lot. But if you've got 100 guys shooting, statistics dictates that they're going to hit something. And that also then lent itself very well to shock combat as well. Because if you've got 100 guys shooting at you, and you're producing maybe 50, 60, 70 odd casualties, enormous formations, right? You're going to be seeing dudes to your left and right dropping like flies, all at the same time. Very, very unnerving, obviously, extraordinarily so. But, of course, if you broke, then you wouldn't be able to fire back. So you needed men to have the discipline required to actually stand there and reload their weapons, even as their friends were falling around them. And bearing in mind, too, reloading wasn't just like, you know, cocking back the little bendy thing at the end, I forget the word now, and then shooting. No, you had to, like, okay, you discharge your weapon, right, put the gun down at your foot in the resting position, grab a cartridge, open that up, pour the black powder down the barrel. Then, if you were lucky and hit a 2-part cartridge, you would also put the barrel in there with the cartridge. Otherwise, you might have to find the bullet as well. All right, now that's in there. Now you stuff in the paper. Now you grab your loading rod from underneath the rifle, and you stuff it all nicely together to compact it as much as possible to make sure that as much of the explosive force is directed outwards out of the gun. Then you need to remember to withdraw the ramming rod. This was a common error, by the way, particularly amongst green regiments, to forget to withdraw the ramming rod, and they would then simply just fire it at the enemy, which would deprive you the ability to reload your weapon, mind you, unfortunate. Return the ramming rod to its position underneath the barrel. Then you need to pour a little bit of black powder into the gun thingy at the end of the rifle. I know these terms, I just don't know it right now. That thingy. That thingy right there. That thingy. Or if you had a percussion cap, you need to pick up a percussion cap and place it and replace the old one. Now, this wasn't... Well, was there percussion cap technology in the Napoleonic era? I think so. Very early, but I think there were. And replace it, making sure to get rid of the old one. Then you could pull back the bendy thingy at the back of the weapon, aim, and fire. A good unit could do this very quickly. A bad unit could do this very slowly. And a bad unit also jonesing on fucking adrenaline at the time might barely be able to do this at all. This actually led to several changes in tactics over the long term as well, as people began to realize that this whole shooting the enemy thing, it was frankly kind of a waste of time. Because it sort of kind of in a way was. You know what? I think you just go and kill those. Because I think that a practical demonstration of why this shooting people thing was a bit of a waste of time is required now. One of the big reasons why the Swedes were so effective in warfare for a while was because their doctrine relied on firing a single volley from very close range, mind you, as well, and maybe two if they're feeling spicy, but mostly a single volley where they would march up to the enemy in close ranks, extreme discipline, bayonets already fixed, and they'd eat the enemy's first salvo, hoping that it was long range and relatively ineffective. Then, when they were close, they would fire their salvo, and instead of bothering with any reloading nonsense, they would instantly charge with as loud a battle cry as they could, in an effort to simply shatter the enemy. As there was often too much of a focus on the shooting part of combat, and not enough of the actual withstanding the charge part. This is why the whole "give them steer" thing became a big thing, even into the First World War, right? Where the Russian army still had as their official doctrine to use bayonet charges. There was also a Russian general I remember at the time who basically explained that, no, we're not going to bother too much with this aiming and shooting nonsense because the Russian soldier is a peasant. He's a dumbo tard. And he's not going to be very good at any of that aiming stuff or complicated maintenance of rifle stuff, so we just give him a pointy stick, point towards the enemy, and like, okay, you know, I'll give you a bullet if you're a really good boy, and you can shoot once just to, like, calm your nerve. You'll feel like you've done something, but then run towards them screaming hurrah in that dumbass accent of yours as loudly as possible. Didn't work during the First World War, of course, rather famously. Didn't work too well during the Napoleonic era either, honestly, for the Russians. But Napoleon, of course, created entire strategies around that, like the attacking column, the assaulting column, which was literally just a column of march but wider. Very effective. Alright. We've almost gotten to the point where the Indians are within gunfire range. Alright, Sons of Ireland, I guess you guys will get to fire your weapons for a little bit. I take it you will have no problems with these two units of bowmen? No, none whatsoever. I do like the dispersed nature of battles in Empire, by the way. The fact that the map is so large and the enemies are coming from so many directions that you can actually have multiple fights going on simultaneously. I'm really sad that I couldn't get the 40 units mod to work, by the way, because that just makes this part of the game even better, but for some reason, every time I made a control group with the 40 unit mods installed, the game would crash. Immediately. Every time, so, yeah. Sad, sad, sad. One might even go so far as to say Sag, but then one would become far too kib, and we wouldn't want that. One would not want to become quite so homosexual quite so quickly. Move, men! We have the high ground. Which actually kind of matters in this game, you know, unlike other Total War titles. Savages, savages, barely even human. Don't worry about their silly little screams, men. Shoot. Massed volley. Ah. like bayonets. And show them steel. The white man transformed his boomstick into a spear. Now what will we do? I'll die, in essence. Oh god, those sound effects. Oh, they are not very good. Oh boy. Like, the gunfire and the cannon fire and stuff sounds okay in Empire. They really do, but, like, the melee effects, god, they are awful. They are actually unironically terrible. Oh, they are just sad. They are actually just sad. Right, I do believe I saw some more savages over the hill there, so go deal with that. Right, I believe another good and glorious excursion of the savages is coming to an end.
Service guarantees citizenship.
Not a whole lot of them left on the field of battle today. Good, very good. Reverend Norse says, Carolians were supposed to march up until they could see the white in the enemy's eyes before stopping and firing. Those boys had balls of steel. Yes, they did. And it turns out that their enemies didn't, which is why they won all the time. Oh boy, that's another fat old clump of shite, isn't it? Gosh darn it. The Indians might not be very good at this warfare stuff, but there sure is a lot of them, isn't there? There sure is a lot of them indeed.
Heresy's the question. Fire is the answer.
I must have killed tens of thousands of Indians at this point. I mean, I think, what? The average casualties in a battle for the Indians tend to be like 4,000 or 5,000, and we've had like 10 of them. We probably put a good 40,000 Indians in the ground already. The purge is well on its way. I don't even know if there were 40,000 combat effective Indians in the entirety of America during this day and time. Zero says you underestimate the power of the dark side. Oh. There was actually the British that taught Napoleon some of his lessons as well about "Gib dem Stier" with the Duke of Marlborough, as the French had pioneered a lot of tactics back then. The French were actually a very well-respected military nation back in the day, which sounds a little bit retarded now, but they were, seriously, they actually were. And one of the common sense tactics used during the, early late 1600s was the idea that cavalry would be armed with pistols. And the Germans, for example, developed the Reiter, where you had fairly heavily armored cuirassiers, plate helmets, etc. cavalry, armed with braces of pistols. They would trot up to an enemy formation at a slow trot, and then they would fire their pistols into the enemy formation before then doing a quick little gallop away. This they would then rinse and repeat as a form of skirmishing, where the unit would just keep doing this. And they would do this against pike and shot formations, where they would be able to be relatively resistant to the return fire. Being relatively heavily armored, they could actually just kind of eat a lot of the arquebus fire that would be coming their way. And due to them having horses, they could often get around the side of the formation and start shooting into it, getting them a big advantage. This also became the tactic for cavalry that was supposed to be charging. So the cavalry would trot up until they were relatively close to the enemy formation, then they would discharge their pistols, rearrange their lines, and then they would charge. The Duke of Marlborough said, fuck that whole nonsense, and simply just straight up charged. Straight British steel. And it turned out to work out very well, because as the French stood there with their little pistols out like, well, it's good form to fire your pistol before the melee, the British people just came barreling towards them on giant-ass horses with long-ass swords screaming, "Tea!" I presume. Which caught the French out without any actual, melee weapons in their hands. I also want to point out just how goddamn dangerous the cavalry sword is. Well, the cavalry saber. I don't know, like, there are actually cavalry sabers that are straight, because you'd think sabers are always going to be curved, right? No, not always, actually. I own a cuirassier saber, for example, a Napoleonic era one. Beautiful fucking weapon, really heavy too, and my god is it sharp. Like, it is the culmination of European sword crafting art. It is a brutal piece of weaponry. Is that the last of them? Have we eradicated the Iroxes? Oh, a new town emerges. Oh. Like, in honor of your destruction of the Native Americans, we have created a town. Thank you. Trait gained. Exterminator of savages. There we go, yes. Like, no more Indians over there, sir. Lovely. Long may it remain Indian-free. Can I can. Alright. These places have grown nice and quiescent. Kaguya still needs a little bit of a garrison. Just to keep the ruffians off the streets at night, Keep the taxes high as well. I actually really enjoy the fact that you need to have garrisons in this game. Like, sure, you could probably automate this. You could probably just add in like a modifier or something, which is like, yeah, you have X amount of dudes in this place, and therefore they provide X amount of garrison. Sure, but I actually kind of like micromanaging that a little bit, if I'm to be honest. Though I will admit, I'm getting sick of killing Indians. I actually kind of am. Like, it's sort of kind of been the same battle many times now. Is that an auto resolve? Can I auto resolve that? I'm getting sick of killing the Indians. 300 dead. Yep, I probably couldn't do much better myself, honestly. And we get to pummel them up against the sea and violate them. Lovely, lovely, lovely. What's that? Gonna be like 1,000? Yeah, we'll do that.
Service guarantees citizenship.
Lovely, lovely, lovely. Absolutely adorable. Speaking of, where do I actually need trade ships? There. This is where I need trade ships. What about here? For some reason, I was trying to box select that, thinking to myself, well, that doesn't actually work. Ooh, we does have over there as well. Yeah, I just need more trade ships. Just loads more trade ships. Zero says, high ground memes aside, no laughing at Agincourt. Agincourt. Trade agreement, they're Really? You want to give me canister shot and a trade agreement? Thank you. Thank you. Agincourt was a freak occurrence, though. It really was. Like, the French fucked themselves at Agincourt. The British picked their ground extraordinarily well, of course. A nice, narrow approach, so that the French had to approach them en masse. The French fancifulness of cavalry as well didn't help them. And the muddy ground, too. Whereas, it seems as if... Oh, the longbow debate. Oh, Jesus, help me, the longbow debate. So, for the longest time, myself included as well, a lot of people attributed the success at the Battle of Agincourt to the effect of the British longbow. But recent testing has shown that it wasn't actually anywhere near as effective as everyone seemingly thought it was. And, of course, Oh god, if you really want to get down one fuck of a rabbit hole, enter the longbow debate on YouTube. Oh, heaven fucking help me. Like, everyone in the whole, like, ancient weapons community has made at least 7 videos on whether the longbow was the nuclear weapon of the ancient world, or just a bent stick. Oh god.
I have lost shit.
I wonder if somebody arrived at some sort of a conclusion on all that. I really kind of do. Oh, sweet baby Jesus. Council of 3 fires. Council of 3 fires. Multiple fires. Who are you allied with, perchance, Council of 3 fires? You're allied with the Innu, the French, and the Dakota. Okay. That's a little bit of a... It's a little bit of a in the future fight then, okay. As right now, it's all about just settling things with the natives we're currently at war with. Then we can begin planning for the next major conflict to ravage this beautiful little continent of ours. How much you cost? 4,000. Okay, that's a bit too much. Wasn't I reinforcing? Yeah, no? Yeah, well, you are reinforcing, you're just not done yet. On the march, and 2 turns there as well. Reverend Norse says, I sometimes wonder how Sweden became what it is with the history we have. Vikings, medieval crusading, Carolingian Empire, to Swedish Stan. How the fuck? That is a good question. Well, mostly it's because military technology moved towards mass warfare. That's why. Because in the era of the Vikings, like, the Vikings controlled, like, the majority of Europe at one point, which was the Vikings' undoing, because running out of other people to fight, the Vikings started fighting themselves, which, you know, never a particularly great idea, frankly. During the, ring bayonets, thank fuck for that. During the Carolingian Empire as well, you could still have relatively small numbers of troops.
I have lost.
Relatively big battles, which allowed Sweden, fucking Sweden, to go to war with and fight Russia on relatively equal footing, which today would probably not work out very well. Cal. Arch is growing sick of fighting, you filthy little savages. Arch will rather just pay the price required to reinforce his countless arquebusiers and other nonsense. Right, tear down all of the savage buildings. And get to work on a nice little vineyard instead. All savage buildings must burn. All. Hashtag every single solitary one. Right, are they all on fire? I believe so. Is that going to be enough garrison troops? Yes, it actually is. Nice. Can I cancel that reinforcement? I can't, can I? Alright, Norris Kilgore. I think you're going to be a bit of a Northern Army representative then, because I was actually thinking I maybe didn't need to reinforce that entire army, honestly. Different scientists, dueling. Okay, well, put you anywhere then. Put you where? Put you there. How is the research going? Quite well. -1 upkeep cost for ships. I'll take it. Oh, hello there. Burn. Alright, how many? I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 schools now. Yeah, an 8th school would not go amiss. I feel like there used to be a maximum number of these schools you were allowed to have. It doesn't seem like that's the truth anymore, though. So I'm guessing they changed that, because I feel like I'm just kind of building an infinite amount of research right now. Alex Adamson, for £5. I will give you a recommendation for a good Total War. The 12 Hill AD mod for Attila, absolutely glorious mod. I know of it. I am planning to play it. I'm planning a bit of a revisit of Total War series. So after Empire 2, I think I'm gonna do either
guarantees citizenship.
Total War modded Lord of the Rings or Total War Warhammer, the mod, both for Medieval 2. Not sure which one yet. Might even do a vanilla Total War playthrough. Honestly, I'm tempted to. But definitely those two, because those mods are both just awesome. Absolutely goddamn awesome. Then we'll move on to a little bit more of the modern stuff. A little bit more of the modern stuff. And that is definitely going to be... I'm kind of hoping that by the time I'm all done with all of this, which will be a while in all due likelihood, that we might be getting on to the point where the 1212 mod is nearing a bit more in the way of completion, as from what I know right now, it has a functioning campaign, but it's not like really great or, stable from what I know. So I'm just kind of hoping that it'll get better and better, really. Okay, well, that's actually peace now then. Lovely. How long until we're moving towards military syllabus? How long for the America thing? Separation of power is 4 turns. Okay. So we should actually get ready to start and transition over to the United States of America, shouldn't we? Yes, we should. That includes getting rid of a lot of these armies. We're going to keep, obviously, the generals, because the generals are going to be very, very useful, duh. But we're going to get rid of most of this. We're going to stand down the armies, because we don't need them no more. Keeping the cavalry, because the cavalry have grown rather elite.
Waiting for your orders. Foraging supply.
And about half of that should be enough. No? Tarnation.
More orders. Anything more?
Did I
More orders.
perhaps abandon that army a little bit early? It seems as if I might have. Okay. Exempt them from taxes then for a little while. That should calm their titties. At least a little bit. And I'm going to keep Norris Kilgore's army, because I'm still going to want to, deal with the Indians, and getting like a full professional proper army to deal with Indians, well, that just seems wasteful to me. But definitely planning to play 1212 AD. It looks great. France? Oh, come on. Oh, come on. God damn it. Zero says it was probably one of the Alfreds to blame. A funny army, goddamn French again. That's going to drag me into war with these other silly little natives, isn't it? I was just getting done with warfare. Wait, wasn't the French just... Or was it the Spanish who just offered me a trade agreement? Maybe I can immediately peace out of this nonsense. That would be nice. That would be quite nice, actually. Maybe I can offer them to purchase Louisiana at a discount. Oh, God. They're gonna start being mean to my trade routes again, aren't they? Well, I'm still at peace with those. There is the French down here, though. Alright, kill goal. Turn around. There's actually quite a lot of France down there still. Alright, which one of you is the most accomplished general? Well, I still have James Moore here. I guess he can head up there as well. Do I want to create another army just to deal with the fucking French? I feel like if they didn't invade me last time, they won't invade me this time. I feel like maybe just spending the money on boosting my economy and getting an actual fleet might be worth more. Because it's kind of the fleet that's annoying me. In fact, before that, let's see if the French are retarded. Here. Oh. Well, it was worth a try, I guess. Alright, yep, let's actually do an economy pass before anything else. Let's actually make sure we've built everything. And burnt everything, equally important. And one more school. Just one more. Burn. Just one more. Burn. Gold mine. Oh, that'll be really nice when it's, you know, civilized. Okay, there's a lot of mines, actually. There's a fuck ton of mines, actually. Tobacco or cotton? Cotton. I like the idea of cotton myself. Craft workshop, pottery. Smiths. Actually, no, smiths. Because I was about to say, I can use that to boost American ideology, but no, I can't, because if I build it now, it'll automatically be producing English influence, not American influence. So I would need to tear it down and rebuild it as a school anyways, if I wanted it to spread Americanism. Because apparently, one primarily spreads culture via schools. Which, you know, looking at the current year, it's difficult not to think that Total War was a little bit ahead of the curve in that regard. It's like, it's a good guess. But, right. River Norse says, if no fantasy mod, do stainless steel mod instead. And yeah, that's what I was expecting. And yes, they do just have like an actual fuck off enormo fleet waffling around in the waters here. Well, I can't run from them, so we're just going to sink.
Heresy's the question.
Simple
Fire
as
is the answer.
205 firepower. Oh, holy shit. Oh my god. Yeah, they just have... Yep. They just have countless full-on fucking battle fleets everywhere. Well, there goes my trade empire for the second time. Poor little America cannot quite yet match the economy of France. Though we are getting there. With all of the new... God, this has been an unusually unlucky campaign. It really has. Like, turn 2, France declare wars, and it just kind of keeps declaring wars. Alright, definitely a fleet is going to need to be the focal point. I need to actually start wresting proper control away out of these areas, rather than just occupying them in between the years at which France isn't at war with me. Especially as England doesn't seem to be helping out much, do they? You'd think the English would be, you know, doing something. I don't know. Perhaps hunting down enemy navies, maybe, even. Who knows? I feel as if the Brits were supposed to be famous for some kind of naval shit. Alright, well, these are just tiny little retard armies. So, we'll break off a bunch of arquebusiers and start hunting that down. Whilst I guess we'll move on to secure some more French territory. Alright, how much do I need to leave behind here? Virtually nothing, in fact. Lovely. Well, I'll have 3 Indiamen for later. Was that all of my fleets? No, this one survived. Okay, well, let's stack everything off the coast of Brazil then. Did anyone else live? I don't think so. Wait, no, that one... no. Savoy. No, Denmark. I'm probably going to have to go to war to reclaim some of these. Okay, well... you just go to the coast of Brazil for now. Send everything there, and let's try and keep control over the sugar, at least. I should still have a pretty reasonable income, yep, after disbanding those armies too, which I should have done up here, now that I come to think of it, because you can actually transfer population numbers by disbanding armies in certain regions. I just disbanded bunches of armies in, like, these places, which was not really worth it. Should I wait until Dockyard? No. We're just gonna have to make the best of what we've got, which means 54 gunships of the line. Which is gonna struggle a little bit against the enormous war galleons of France, but they're certainly gonna do a hell of a lot better than the tiny little fucking trade vessels we're currently using. Improved volley fire. Fleet destroyed, fleet destroyed, fleet destroyed. That was something else that they didn't really cover in Napoleon at all, was it? The naval warfare. They completely skipped over, minor happenstances like Trafalgar, for example. That was never mentioned. The fact that Napoleon was getting blockaded in France as well, and that was as much of the reason why he went home as Josephine. That too was just completely skipped, obviously. The entire career of Wellington, like the the Peninsular War too, was completely ignored. Like, that's a bit of a shame. I don't know. Too little focus on the side characters, and too much focus on one side character. By the way, I've never played the Stainless Steel mod. The only thing I know about the Stainless Steel mod is its reputation, in that the guy who made it went on to work for Creative Assembly, and he made the AI for Rome 2, which worries me quite a lot. But apparently he was a far better mod maker than he was a actual, like, Total War creator, as of course the campaign and strategic AI in Rome 2, especially at launch, was nothing to write home about. In fact, it was outright broken. At launch, units would try to charge other units, and they would stop directly in front of the unit they were charging, turn around, run back to where they started, and then charge again. And then they would just keep doing this forever until the unit was dead. That was an actual bug in Total War Rome 2 on launch. It was perhaps the single most retarded bug I have ever seen. And again, it somehow made its way past beta testing. It somehow made its way past even alpha is remarkable enough. Fucking Total War. Again, it is mildly remarkable that the series even exists today, in my honest opinion. well, we are going to keep making more cotton plantations, because I'm quite fond of the idea of making lots of cotton, actually, and keep working on our economy so as to ensure that even if the French burn our entire fleet for the second or third time, we'll still have something to, make the wheels turn round. I do need crop rotation. That'll allow me to upgrade an actual assload of stuff. Am I researching crop rotation? I am not. Do I want to be researching crop rotation? Not at the expense of anything. I'm 28 turns. Oh, baby Jesus. No, definitely not. Okay, let's just keep researching military technology then. For the time being. Oh, there's a lot more French armies down here now, but they're still primarily consisting of cheap savages, so beating them shouldn't be too much of an ordeal. I really hope Great Britain goes to kill something. What the heck? Actually, I am wondering now, what is Oh yeah, I forgot about those units. What is Britain actually doing at this point in time? I have no actual honest to God clue. God, they've got a full fleet in every zone. Oh boy. Right, the cleanup fleet that's going to need to deal with this is going to take a while to build, so I'm going to need a full stack. And Spain as well, why not? Why is everybody attacking me? What the fuck? Is this just the classic playing on hard in Total War? The AI is obsessed with your ass? Is that what's going on? Because, or maybe it might be because I deleted those armies. And suddenly everyone was like, wow, America doesn't have any military. Time to declare war on them. That could be it. That could very well be it. That could almost guaranteeably be it, in fact. Even so, I feel like this is a bit unfair. A bit on the one-sided side. I probably need to recruit a new army, don't I? I probably do. You know, a levy system would be an interesting thing to introduce to Total War as well. Like where you have professional armies and then you have the militia armies. Because most armies, not necessarily in this era, we're starting to enter the era of proper professional armies at this point, but in ancient warfare, the majority of the men fighting would be only semi-professionals. You know, they'd probably have a decent bit of training here and there, but they wouldn't be like full-line troops. And so instead you would have a relatively small percentage of the army being the proper hardened elites, like the housecarls of the Vikings, for example, or retinues of knights for medieval armies. And that doesn't mean the rest of them will be just peasants either, mind you. They'd still be decent troops like spearmen and swordsmen and town's guards and stuff. They just wouldn't be a match for the proper elite ones. The game hasn't crashed, by the way. I know it looks like it, but it's not a crash. It's just taking that long to end a turn. Yes. This is old school Total War, where the computer needs to calculate the moves of Russia as Russia moves 6 bajillion stacks across the land, as every single Russian province sustains like 3 armies off the back of an economy that is a little bit ridiculous and more than a bit cheaty. Alex Adamson says the Napoleon movie, I'm presuming, should have been a series like Sharp. That would have been excellent. Could you imagine a series like Sharp with budget of today? Absolutely. Like, or at the very least, it should have been a trilogy. But again, they put too much into getting the directors and the actor. Like, Ridley Scott didn't come cheap, and neither did Joachim. We'll just call him Joachim now. Phoenix. Neither of them came cheap. And at the end of the day, neither of them really contributed much to the overall movie, honestly. Like, the amount of money and, attention and effort that those two people took up would have been far better spent on making a bigger, better movie. Or preferably, a series of bigger, better movies. I see you've elected to split your armies there, little Frenchie. I question the wisdom of this obviously retarded course of action, but I thank you nevertheless. Alright, one army there, one army there. I'm probably gonna need to kill this and then reform. Let's just make sure they can't raid my gold mine, please. Keep your filthy little mitts off the gold mine. I really want the gold mine to grow up and become a real boy one day. Be able to provide me with lots and lots of money. Another gold mine. Oh, well, look at that. America's going to grow up into a big and fat nation who don't need no trade. They don't need no trade deals to make money. Okay, we'll make one army just in case of invasion. Which one is most populated? Philadelphia has 16,000. Boston has 74,000. Okay, well, that decision was an easy one. Right, we've got new stuff now, so we've got 3-pounders. Those are tiny, but I'm pretty sure those are actually mobile. So let's get a battery of 3-pounders. And we've got actual infantry now. American volunteers, company line infantry, and American volunteers and rangers. North Carolina line infantry, Pennsylvania line infantry. Household company cavalry. Company cavalry, yep, still better, still worse than the household cavalry. Provincial cavalry, yep, definitely worse. Colonial light cavalry, so let's see, 32 accuracy, less actually. Scale 26, then actually worse than the pioneers, huh? I don't know what I think about that, but oh well. Well, Boston volunteers seems to make sense, recruiting Boston volunteers from Boston, so let's do just that. Start queuing those up. And maybe some rangers. I do like the rangers. The rangers are pretty cute. And luckily, there's not an enormous Spanish army waiting for me. So if we send over the garrison there, hopefully that'll be enough to discourage them from trying to wander into me. Ah, yes, the navy. Ah, shit. Well, I can't afford to recruit a navy and an army at the same time, but the army's probably the more immediately pressing problem, so we'll focus on the army. Alright, that navy arrived. Right, well, that is at least a sizable navy. The majority of it's garbage, but at least I can probably scare off people who are trying to attack me with that. One more turn, I'll have an Admiral flagship as well. A TV series, or I don't know if a TV series, because you're going to want this. Well, actually, it was an Apple original, wasn't it, Napoleon? I'm pretty sure it was an Apple original. And Apple actually has a pretty damn good track record with TV shows. For All of Mankind is really good. Is Monarch an Apple? It is, isn't it? Assuming it is. Monarch, the Godzilla show. It's not really a Godzilla show. It's the Monsterverse, right? Fatzilla, Americanzilla. I've been watching that, and it's okay. It's not great. It's not Godzilla. It's not really properly Godzilla, really. Because Fatzilla isn't Godzilla. He's Zilla. Simple as. And it focuses way too much on the people yet a goddamn game. Again. See, I don't mind Fatzilla. Fatzilla can be cute. What I mind is that Fatzilla always mean that they focus only on the human. See, when the Japanese do this, they will have human characters because they are your point of view into the story. They are the people who make it relatable to you as a human being watching this, obviously. But the humans are always doing stuff in relations to Godzilla. Even when they're having like a romance subplot, it's like a brief moment of sexual tension, or a brief dally, or a kiss or something, or like that, to be like, oh, these two guys like each other, and then it's back to Godzilla again. But with Zilla, that is the entire focus. Zilla is a side character to the human drama. And it isn't even that he doesn't take up enough screen space, because in Shin Godzilla, for example, Godzilla isn't on screen as much as the humans, but whenever the humans are on screen, they are always talking about Godzilla. They're trying to figure out what Godzilla is, what Godzilla's plans are, why he's doing this, where he's going to go next, how they can stop Godzilla, how they can kill Godzilla, if they can communicate with Godzilla, how they can, minimize the damage Godzilla does, and so on. Or, and then occasionally they'll be like, and then the Americans arrive to fuck everything up. Because in Japanese movies, the Americans are usually the bad guys. 40, 50 years of occupation will do that to a nation, I suppose. And yeah, Shin Godzilla is really good. Really good. Everyone should watch Shin Godzilla. It's a fantastic movie. And then on the flip side, in Monarch, the only thing we've seen of Godzilla so far is flashbacks to the previous movies and the American military trying to blow him up with a nuclear bomb. And that's it. That is all we've seen of Godzilla. That's it. And they're barely even talking about him. Like, half the plot is a woman looking for her dead dad or something. Like, there is a... Stop that video game. Don't randomly minimize on me, you piece of shit. There are two timelines, right? One timeline is back in the day when America is trying to first discover Godzilla and deal with him. That one is pretty good because that one follows the Japanese mantra where it's whenever they're on screen, they're always talking about Godzilla. They're trying to figure out more things about Godzilla. They're trying to figure out his plans, his motivations, now to study Godzilla, etc. That is pretty good. I quite enjoy that. The other part deals with the descendants of these people, and now we're talking about human drama. Now we're talking about a dude's relationship with some random black girl. Now we're talking about some Asian chick's relationship with her father, and how her father had a second family, and now they have to find him. As all the fucking human drama, where they add in, like, random new monsters. Like, a big-ass frost mole appears and is like, hello, I am a frost mole. I exist primarily because I heard you needed some tension in this stupid, pointless treasure hunt you're on. Fear me? I'm gonna kill the random black guy, by the way, just so you know that I'm dangerous. Actually, he was Korean, not a black guy. That was a bit cruel to Koreans, I guess. It's so dumb. Like, you've got Godzilla. You wanna inject some tension into a scene? Have fucking Godzilla show up and try to roast them. There you go. That's tension. A mole appearing in Antarctica and being like, my special ability is frost breath. I fucking hate Scylla. I fucking hate Scylla. Alright, that's where all of their cavalry is, so that's where all of my cavalry is going to be. Otherwise, they're going to just kind of murder my poor little militia dudes here. It's such an utter lack of logic as well. Again, you have Godzilla, one of the most famous movie monsters ever. And you still feel the urge and the need to invent something. Some random thing. I will never understand modern movies. I've more or less accepted this fact. It doesn't bother me as much as it used to anymore. Oh. Right, well, it turns out that we have deployed just at the lip of yet another elevation, so our cannons are completely useless. Good. I can't wait to get fucking howitzers. Or at least decent-sized mortars, like anything but what I currently have. Alright, boys. Move into formations. You're going to be taking some mortar shelling whilst you're doing so. Don't worry about it. Hopefully it's as inaccurate as our own cannons are. At least I pray they are. And you're going to have to hold on a second whilst the cavalry slowly moves themselves into position. As obviously I don't want to move the cavalry through the forest too much if I can help it. But I also definitely don't want to allow the pioneers to be taking the brunt of the enemy cavalry charge. Or the militia, more correctly. Because they will break, rather embarrassingly, and they will die, even more embarrassingly. Ah, the French. Disgusting. We're actually going to be up against some fellow Europeans here. Most still just, you know, Indians, but at least some of these Indians will be wearing French clothing, so we can kind of feel like we're fighting a sort of kind of European war, and there's some of them who are, you know, white, which means we don't need to feel bad about killing them at all. They could also just be Native Americans wearing white face, but everything considered, everything I know about this era, I consider it relatively unlikely. You're the little shits who can lay down, aren't you? I don't like you. Alright. In that case... Oh. You outrange me, do you? Well, that is annoying, indeed. Double time it into range, then. Oh, here we go. I have entered the enemy's aggro circle. As such, it is time to charge. And so begins the clusterfuck. Luckily, my cavalry is quite experienced at clusterfucking, and I'm sure they'll come out just fine. They may be wearing the clothes of the French, but they are certainly no cuirassiers. They may pretend to be French, but deep inside, they're still just Indians. And they still fear British steel. It's true, they do. Alright, good boy, cavalry. Chase that the fuck down, and we can consider their right flank thoroughly crushed. Some of those are probably going to get away. Let's reform. I am going to take a fair bit of chip damage here. Wait, are you You're an axe throwers, aren't you? Oh god, help me. Right, well, never mind, charge. Yep, no. I have learned my lesson about the axe throwers. The axe throwers are death. The axe throwers are annihilation. The axe throwers, you cannot be outshot. The axe throwers are the bane of my existence and must be dealt with via the bayonet. Anything else is tantamount to suicide. I don't remember giving the order to charge those 2 units, but I guess I'll take it. Alright, well, it seems as if that actually has led to a little bit of a good old-fashioned shattering. Don't mind if I do take advantage of that. And now that I have ring bayonets, I don't even need to plug my rifle muskets. I wish I had rifle muskets. I don't even need to plug my muskets in order to stab them. Ah, the advantages of technology. Truly a remarkable thing. Being able to stab without giving up the opportunity to shoot. Never mind those. You, go follow them instead. Make sure they don't bully my cannons. Ooh, okay. Yep, halt. You do not... Actually, I think you've already been caught out by those. You can finish those off. Good boys. Chase them down. And we'll need to deal with this little last nucleus of resistance. Household cavalry did take some casualties in that early mass charge against the enemy cavalry, which don't break as easily as dudes on foot do, tragically. But it seems as if the resolve of the French are beginning to shatter. They're beginning to realize who truly owns this continent. And it is not France. It never will be France. As I believe everyone should be very, very happy for. Can you imagine an America under French rule? Seriously. That would be pretty terrible. I don't think anyone wants that. Good job, cavalry. Aha! I've discovered the technology of sharp things at the end of my boomstick. But you, French, you haven't even figured out how to put a knife at the end of your rifle yet. That's fucking disgusting. You know, perhaps it's not the Indians that are the problem. Perhaps it is the French that are the problem. Perhaps the French are a far larger danger to civilization and good, honest decency than the Indians. Perhaps the genocides of America must happen again.
Heresy's the question.
But in
Fire
Europe
is
this
the
time.
Answer.
I wonder what the max level of my cavalry can be. I feel like I must be getting close. Alright, rearrange my little tabbies. There we go. Belial says, you know to do CA. Jank, you can just set your army up to defend whether or not you are the attacker and bait them into prepared lines of entrenched infantry. You can do that. Even more when you get entrenchments. Again, you can't blame the mod. You really can't. It is the game that is hard-coded this way, but my god. one can dream of an Empire Total War with AI that functions. And it is a beautiful dream. It is genuinely a rather beautiful dream. No matter how hopeless that dream might be. 4 more of those at least. I shouldn't actually upgrade this. Yeah, this is going to sound weird, but I shouldn't actually upgrade this. Because
Heresy's the question.
if I want to be
Fire
able
is
to
the
kick off
answer.
the American Revolution, I actually kind of sort of want to cause Philadelphia to rebel so that I can take it over immediately. And to get it to rebel, of course, I'm going to need it to actually, you know, suck. To live there. Which might actually require me to burn the city to the ground. To give my people a reason to rebel against me. I know that sounds a little bit silly, but that is probably actually the best way to make sure that we get to play as the United States, rather than as the 13 colonies. Berian also says, also, the American opinion on French rule is kind of like your opinion of Swedes. Also part of our issue with the Canadians. They are like half French. They are. Well, actually, they're mostly French. The original Canadians were just French. The Anglification of Canada came after that. So honestly, you should view the Canadians as French first and as English second. What happened to D&D yesterday? D&D is being currently rescheduled frequently this week. The current hope is Sunday. There is also going to be some rescheduling, not next week, but next week after that, I think, as I have a previous commitment on the 7th of December. We are trying to get it all together, but again, it's the holidays right now, and everybody has familial commitments that they need to go to. Thanksgiving is one of them, silly Americans. God, my economy is groaning again. I have probably spent more money reinforcing my troops than actually building up my nation at this point. Well, it is as they say, I guess. War is expensive, and the mod is certainly doing a fantastic job of reflecting that fact. You know what we could do? Okay. Here's an idea, right? So, personally, I think I would prefer Napoleon to be a series of movies. For the simple reason that he'd probably have a bigger budget that way, right? But what you could do to make it a really cool TV series is to kind of ape The Crown. So The Crown is another TV series which... Is it Netflix? I think it's Netflix. Which goes over the life of Queen Elizabeth. And it's a really good series. I heartily do recommend it, by the way. It's an excellent series. And what they do is... the first season is played by a young Elizabeth. So that's one actress. And I think the second season? Or is the second season when they do middle-aged Elizabeth? And eventually in the third season, she's old Elizabeth. And you have 3 different actors portraying the character in 3 different ways. Like, young Elizabeth is insecure. She doesn't quite know what her role is yet. She doesn't know if she can really do this because she's thrust into it. Middle-aged Elizabeth is getting more secure on herself, but she's still not quite there. And old Elizabeth is established. Old Elizabeth understands how things are supposed to run. And she's trying to manage the family in the way that things are supposed to be run. You could easily do the same with Napoleon. Like, young Napoleon should be a little bit of a boyishly handsome kind of guy, you know? A little bit of the Twilight thing going there to appeal to the certain demographic. As young Napoleon was kind of cutesy. And you should focus this around his early life on Corsica. Of course, his relationship with his mother should be a massive focus. And probably the campaign in Italy should just then wrap that up, right? And then you can move over to not middle-aged, sort of like early adult Napoleon, more like, kind of. This is where you could have Henry Cavill. Henry Cavill would fit in brilliantly as this age Napoleon, when he is brimming with energy, when he is taking on the major coalitions raised against France, when he declares himself emperor, you know? Then you can transition into Fat Napoleon, which is when he invades Russia. At this point, Napoleon has been living the good life for quite some time, and he doesn't have the energy anymore. So a little bit on the fat side, a little bit of a slower, more turgid character. You know, he's not as energetic anymore. He doesn't have quite that wink in his eye anymore. And you can even then reinvigorate him in part, because he did rediscover this glint. During the campaign that led up to Waterloo, for example, he had definitely rediscovered a lot of that energy. And you'd need an amazing supporting cast too, which you could also age up along with the TV series. Like, you could make an epic out of this, like 6, 7, 8 seasons easy. There's more than enough content in Napoleon's life to cover a great deal of television episodes. Not to mention, if you throw in the other ones too, you know, do a couple episodes focusing on Bernadotte to build him up. Alternatively, do a couple focusing on Davout, on Dumas, to have your little diversity hire in there, you know? And even have a historically accurate one. You can have half a season focused on Egypt, and how he got his incredibly faithful bodyguard, whose name I've completely blanked on now. You could, of course, focus on Wellington as well. You should focus on Wellington as well. You should have him as kind of the opposite of Napoleon in so many ways. Because Napoleon should absolutely be, in many ways, the progressive kind of character, whereas Wellington should very much so be the staunch, traditionalist, British, aristocratic gentleman, you know? And you could play the two off one another to tremendous effect. Like, you could have Napoleon embracing his troops and really building them up, using the Aquilus, etc., and all of that, via the Wellington, who describes his infantry as like the dirt of the earth, or who considers his cavalry to be a disorganized mob, stuff like that. And you can also then compare that to Wellington's far better grasp of the campaign in Spain, in Iberia, the Peninsular campaign, where he completely just ran circles around all of the generals Napoleon sent down there to fight him, where Spain, of course, became famously Napoleon's bleeding ulcer. 4 slots left. What do you want in those? I'm thinking 3 rangers and just 1 more line infantry. Nice and simple. And honestly, it should be done by Netflix. It should be done by Netflix, and it should be done in French. Like, the issue with English as a language is that it's not very romantic. And if you're trying to portray Napoleon's life, which was a very romantic life, again, he fell in love often and deeply, it would work better in French. It would just straight up work better in French. You little fucks are running away from me, aren't you? I really don't like it when you do that. You're trying to pincer me? I mean, I'm actually fine with that. My army is ridiculously veteran, so I am plenty confident I can squash you like a bug. Especially when you're talking about, like, the letters between Josephine and Napoleon. Those were ridiculously sappy letters. And reading those in English, it feels like a fucking parody. It unironically feels like a fucking parody. You need to do those in French to give them any sort of decency. Really, you do. You gotta. I also think it would work better for Napoleon as well. Especially, you gotta give him an accent, too. Because Napoleon wasn't French, of course. Napoleon was Corsican. And he was bullied a great deal of his life for his very much so, like, thicker Italian accent, rather than the more, like, flowing French one. You could even have this be a big part of his early life. Ideally, church burn. Ideally, you would want... Ooh, yeah, that's going to get burned. Let's not build that. You would want somebody who is bilingual. Somebody who speaks Italian and French, preferably with a nice heavy accent, to play Napoleon early on. Like a nice Italian pretty boy. That's what you need. A nice Italian pretty boy. A little Julio for the ladies. Yes, that's what you require. And one more boat for the Navy. I feel like the Navy feels just overlooked, honestly. It's like, we don't barely get anything. We only really get to sink occasionally. Yeah. I know. I feel bad for you. I really do. I'd prefer it if you'd sink less as well, but here we are. Rounds region, okay. Well, might as well finish up the military research. No real reason not to. Bathurst. I really should... Yeah, I don't like losing out on research, but I'm going to switch over to that because I really actually do need this. Because I need population growth badly. Because my biggest city right now has, 70,000 people. Like, I am actually going to have a problem with recruitment in the long term. So I really should focus a bit on that. I also need to remember to turn off the Bill of Rights before it actually kicks off, because I'd rather not engage in a civil war whilst engaged with the French, if, at all possible. Oh god. This is reminding me of why I used to play Total War games with a fucking book nearby. Because God help me, these turn timers. Burnson, donates €5, say Napoleon could have been a natural trilogy. Rise, height, fall. I.e. upon coronation. Then up to Elba, then from return to final defeat. Absolutely. It could have been a perfect natural trilogy. But again, I feel like... See, there's the problem with the trilogy. The problem with the trilogy is that it could be shit. Which is the Rings of Power problem. Where Amazon is sitting there with 5 seasons ordered. And they're like, oh god, 5 more seasons of economic disaster ahead of us. And I don't know, I think maybe someone at Apple was looking at the screenplay for Napoleon and thinking to themselves, this ain't gonna work. This ain't gonna work. Because it wasn't. It had the fucking AI is gonna lead me on a merry chase there, and I'm never gonna catch them, which is going to be mildly infuriating as well. I could have just stayed there, but it would have been the same regardless, because they've got 2 armies, and they're obviously intent on splitting them, so we're just gonna have to chase them down one by one, bringing in the reinforcement from Boston, and then just destroy everything else behind them. I mean, they're not going to have any opportunity to reinforce here, so they're only selling themselves down the river the long and annoying way, but it is still the long and annoying way. What was I on about? Oh, yes. Because Apple has a lot more skills, it seems, when it comes to making TV, because all of the scenes in Napoleon, they don't fit together. They do not fit fucking together. Like, the TV show jumps from one thing to something... The movie jumps from one thing to something completely different. In just the most... spastic way imaginable. Like, you go to France, and you entirely again skip the entire Italian campaign. You just ignore it completely. It never happened, some fucking how, right? Ooh, I can wipe out 2 little stacks here. What? Oh, what, bitch, you're in range. Fucking little shitbird. Dang, bastard, asshole, dick. That didn't look like it was range, honestly.
Service guarantees citizenship.
At least I got to wipe out that too. Actually, I think, I think there's a, oh really? Oh really, that didn't do more damage than that. I was kind of hoping that would wipe them out, actually. There might be an opportunity here. So having delivered a bunch of defeats to France, it might be... Aha! Thank you. It might be possible to screw them into a nice little peace treaty before they get to capture any of my territory. Fuck you. Fuck you very much. Right. With that little coup, I finally have an opportunity to properly build this army. I was turning you into a school, wasn't I? I think I was. School. Farm. Another school is probably overdoing it. Smith. Large cotton plantation. Right. I am not going to make the same mistake again. I am not now going to go like, hey, let's build a trade fleet again. Nope. We are building the Navy next. Navy next. That's what we're going to focus on. Gosh darn fucking Navy. New England blizzard. A furious storm has hit New England, continuing for over a week and stopping for no more than an hour or two. Jesus. That's shitty weather. Huh. Damn. Well, that sucks for you, I guess. Well, what do you mean that sucks for us? Yeah? What do you want me to do? Send FEMA to help? It's like, no, we're good. Oh, that's what I thought. That's what I thought. Ordnance factory. What do you actually need? I kind of want to get started on some industry stuff too. Joint stock companies, 4% wealth, commercial basin, third exchange, happiness. You can start on the spinning jenny. Seeing as cotton is going to be one of our chief exports, I feel it's only decent that we get a little bit of proper cotton production going. Yes, I think so. Belial donates $20. Thank you very much, sir. To say, Americans as a whole won't watch anything in another language than English. One reason I hate our schooling is that they try to impress that we don't have a natural language while not really putting any effort in teaching any other. Oh, really? Like, you don't have a natural language in America? Okay. I feel like that should be a difficult sell, considering all of your television is in English, considering all of your official documents are in English, considering your schooling should be in English, considering all of you speak English. But hey, details, details. But, okay. I actually really like how Netflix is trying to make entertainment in their native language. Like, a World War II movie, for example, would be so much fucking better in German, wouldn't it? Like, it just would. It just absolutely would. Like, when you're watching Band of Brothers, you're not expecting the Germans to go like, over there, Americaners. No, you're expecting them to be actual Germans. In the case of Napoleon, too, I think it would build up a bit more of a relationship to the character if he spoke his native French, and it would definitely build a relationship when he is halting, when he's speaking Italian with a heavy accent and people bully him, you know? You could build up a great deal of sympathy for him. Bearing in mind, you need to actually be willing to build sympathy for Napoleon, which, weirdly enough, is still a problem. Like, that's still somehow, a controversial thing. It's like, was Napoleon a good guy? He's been dead for, what, like 250-something years? Do we care? Like, Alexander didn't get this treatment in his movie. Oh, Alexander was a good movie too, by the way. Well, no. I don't know if I'd go quite so far as to call it a good movie. It had a fantastic battle scene. Like, the battle scene in Alexander was balls to the walls great. It was really, really damn good. And it did do Alexander a great deal of justice, and it did do him fairly as well. He was an enormous homosexual, which he was. And I don't remember, was it Orlando Bloom or something? The guy who they've got got to do his acting, to act as his actor. Arch, are you even aware of what you're saying right now? No. Genuinely, I have no fucking clue what I'm saying right now. Was it Orlando Bloom? I can't remember now. He was perfect for the role. Absolutely perfect, because goddamn does he look like a bit of a homosexual. And he's masculine enough to pull off Alexander as the warrior, and he's effeminate and looks good enough in vast quantities of oil to look good, to do a good gay Alexander as well. He was perfect casting choice, he was, straight up. Right, well, I have myself a proper pseudo, sort of, kind of, in a way, modern army now, actually, which is Neato Cheeto. I'm wondering what to use it for and where to... Don't do that, video game. To put it and what to use it for. Ah, exactly right. The paleontologist says, the whole film was worth it just to see the Macedonian phalanxes marching through the Ishtar gates of Babylon. Yeah, and the battle. The battle was brilliant. I loved the shit out of that battle. It was a great battle. Alright, speaking of great battles, I need to build a lot more boats. Really, I need to build a lot more boats. Considering the size and power of the fleet I'm up against, I should probably just say screw it and just build nothing but 54 gunners. Like, it feels like that is going to be a... Flute? Where did the flute get in there? Burn it to the ground immediately. It feels like this is going to be a hilariously expensive fleet. Oh god, it's going to be. It's going to be like fucking 6,000 or something upkeep for this fleet. Oh my god, it is going to be an expensive fucking fleet. But it will eventually allow me to wrest back a little bit of control in those other areas and actually start getting the trade up and running. Though I imagine the cotton and the fur trade is doing pretty well right now. In fact, it's doing better than the sugar trade a lot of the time. Wait. Are you telling me I'm not taxing some places? Oh, well. We're not going to have that, are we? Oh, no. Oh, no, we're not. But no taxation. You said no taxation without representation. Well, you're represented. And you're gonna get fucking taxed. Tax. You're not exempt from taxes under my rule, you're not. Beautiful. Beautiful. A fully functional taxation system. That's what we like. Right, and now we basically just need to pass 14 turns until we can start working on America. I shan't lie to you. It's going to take a while. Especially if Russia is going to continue taking 10 minutes per turn. Which it is. God help me. I might do this off stream. I might. Because right now it's just going to be a lot of teching for a little while. Belial says, despite all that you said, it's actually a thing most from progressives that we haven't officially adopted the national language. Despite everyone speaking English, they're pushing that back in the 2000s. See, I get it, right? It's a cute ideal, isn't it? It's a laudable ideal, in fact. Like, we are going to be a nation for everyone. We're going to try and make everyone, no matter their language, feel at home. It's a nice ideal, right? But at some point, you've got to stop and realize the logistics of this all. You can't turn into the fucking Austrian Empire.
Fire is the answer.
So everyone probably knows about the Austrian Empire, right? They're one of the big reasons why they got their asses beat so badly during the First World War was because they had next to zero cultural unity. They had, like, what was it? Was it 3 or 4 languages? So all orders needed to be issues in quintuplicates. Just to make sure that whomever received the fucking order could actually read it. That's not a very functional system. And obviously, if you need to write everything in 4s, everything grinds to a halt. Every little thing needs quintuplicates. Like, you think modern day bureaucracy with duplicates is bad? Imagine this shit. You need to get something fixed in your road. You know, you gotta get a pothole fixed. Okay. Well, you can't just go to the local government or the National Assembly because there's 3 of them. And if you go to it, okay, what area are you in? What district? What nationality are you? Are you in this ghetto? Are you in that ghetto? Are you in this area? Are you over here? Okay, then you need to go to this representative. He speaks your correct language. Like, shit, you're gonna have to go through bureaucracy just to figure out who can actually speak to you. Obviously, the official language of America should simply be English for the goddamn simple reason that the majority of people speak English. Simple. Very simple. And it would make everything so much easier. Like, okay, you go to school, you're going to learn English. Done. Why? Well, because that's the language of the place. Simple. No issue. There's nothing controversial about it. And if people want to keep speaking Spanish, you know, it's like, I'm going to keep my Mexican heritage, well, you could always create internment camps. I'm joking. But that is what we did. So, one of the countless victim narratives of the Sami people, Norway's native inhabitants, despite arriving in Norway 250 years after the Norwegians. Native just means savage at this point. Simple as. It's at least that's what it means in the case of the Sami, alright? We had a period called fornorskningen. Which means Norwegianification, in essence. This was a period where you had to speak Norwegian in school. You were not allowed to speak Sami, and speaking Sami was a punishable offense. Like, you couldn't do it. It was like, nope, you're not going to do that. This is Norwegian school. You're going to speak Norwegian, and if you don't, we're going to yell at you. We're going to, take your grades down, etc. We are going to give you actual consequences for it. And that was about it. And you had to speak, like, Norwegian in government institutions, and if you were going to apply for a job, you need to speak Norwegian, stuff like that. Entirely reasonable shit. To the Sami, this was their Holocaust. This was the worst thing that ever happened to them. And they keep telling us about it. Oh boy, do they keep telling us about it. Oh boy, oh Jesus, do they keep fucking telling us about it. And I think, you know, we really should try again. I really think there... Oh, flute. Oh, can I only build... Is that why? 1, 2, 3... No, I can build 4. Why did a fucking flute sneak its way in there again, then? Little gosh darn bastards. Anyways, what was I researching? I am researching limbers. Actually, you know, I don't want limbers anywhere near as much as I want that. And it's going to take you 2 turns, so give me that instead. Right, 13 more turns. Another public servant keels over dead. Too bad for him. A tragedy. And having clicked those 2 buttons... Oh, hold on. 3. It's time to wait a little bit again. But it got results. Oh boy, did it get results. It was an effective way of actually integrating a population. Now, we had to stop doing that because it was cruel and unusual to ask people that live in our country to speak our country's language. Obviously, such abuse cannot possibly stand for long. Of course, obviously. But it is what needs to be done. I mean, God, this was decades ago, but this was still a thing. And the worst part is, the Sami, we have given the Sami as much power as the minority groups in Austro-Hungary. We have given them their own parliament. They have their own news broadcast. Okay, get this. the first Norwegian TV channel is called NRK. It stands for Norsk Rikskringkasting, Norwegian Reich Broadcasting. Oh, I don't know what other words than Reich to translate Riks into state, I guess. Norwegian State Broadcasting. On the channel named Norwegian State Broadcasting, we have Sami News in Sami. Why? And what are Sami News? Sami News are just Norwegian news, but in Sami. And don't get me started on the fucking windmills. Actually, considering we have got a lot of time on our hands, I need to buy at least 20 more minutes, okay, till my pastry properly unthaws. The windmills. So, everyone wants renewable energy, right? It's everywhere, like renewable energy. We need it. In fact, it's been the primary push for ESG for ages. Okay. Norway says, sure, we can do that. We're a very long country. We've got lots of hills and mountains. Wind power. Everyone loves wind power, right? We'll put some wind power over here. And then people go, not over there. I live nearby. The wind turbine is giving me cancer. That was an actual fucking narrative at one point, mind you. Or the wind parks are beating the birds to death, because apparently birds are really dumb. And they see a wind park and they just go like, for the emperor. And then they ram themselves into the blades repeatedly until dead. I don't know why, but it's apparently a bird thing. And so we couldn't build them anywhere down south. Okay, we can build them offshore. Okay, we're still beating the birds to death, but fuck it. They're birds far out to sea, so they deserve it, I guess. But this costs so much more than building them on land. Since we need to build the entire wind park infrastructure at sea. It is ludicrously expensive. Like, wind power already isn't profitable, and so now we're building it in the ocean. Well, I'm glad we've got a lot of oil money to waste, I guess. But even the most maddened of ideologues could look at the sheer expense of this and realize this wasn't going to work. This was not an option, and it would never be an option. And so, what was the next one? Well, we got to put the wind parks somewhere where there's not a lot of people, because that way, at least nobody will get cancer from the wind parks. Some fucking home. The birds will still die, but at least no one will be there to complain about it. And as the old saying goes, if a tree falls in the forest and there's nowhere there to see it, did the tree really fall? It's the same with the birds. If a bird dies to a windmill and nobody's there to bitch about it, does anybody care? No. You know, give the birds a few decades of evolution, they'll figure it out sooner or later that the giant spinny blades of death are best to be avoided. But the problem then is, of course, like half of northern Norway is a reindeer economic zone. Because one of the Sami's tradition is herding reindeer. It's one of the cultural thingies, right? They herd reindeer. And to allow them to continue their cultural practices, we have given them exclusive rights. Rights Norwegians do not have. To do rain keeping in a huge area of Norway, like half of it or something. It's enormous. They also get away with a lot of tariffs and exports, etc. as well, because of course they do. It's a very profitable business that Norwegians are literally forbidden to partake in because of the Sami. But since the reindeers require enormous grazing areas, wherever you put a windmill, there's going to be reindeer nearby. And the reindeer, apparently, were scared of the windmills. Somehow. The reindeers were being traumatized by the windmills. Like, I imagine the reindeer just, it catches a glimpse of a windmill at the side of its eyes and it just falls over dead from terror. God only knows. And this apparently was damaging their habitats. And the roads. So you need to make maintenance roads to drive up to the windmills. And it's a single car road in dozens of square kilometers of terrain. And the Sami are like, you know, that's at least like 100 meters of grass that my reindeers could have eaten. You're endangering my livelihood here. Oh, help me. We eventually simply just need to build windmills on every mountain, all over Norway. In every hilltop, there just needs to be a windmill. Just to piss off the Sami. And 2,000 years from now, there'll be a windmill there, and it won't even be working anymore, and people will be looking at it, because we'll have gone over to nuclear energy by then, and a child will ask Granddad, like, Granddad, what is that weird, dumb, spinny thing on the hill? Oh, that. We built those everywhere in the late 2000s to scare off the Sami. What were the Sami, Granddad? An evil race of wizards, son. Yes. They cast spells on people. Terrible, terrible. But the windmills protect us against them. That is my headcanon. And so it shall be. The Sami. I don't like the Sami. I really don't. But hey, at least they're not Swedes. And the Swedes have Sami too. Little known fact. The Sami are in Finland and Sweden as well. It is not only our unfortunate little burden to bear. It's not only our cross. It is that of our nearby neighbors as well. I think, in fact, they don't give them anywhere near the same rights. I think they actually abuse them in Sweden and Finland. Mostly for fun, I imagine. As the Sami came from Finland. The Sami were chased from Finland by the Finnish. I feel as if there is some sort of justification for the invasion of Finland there somewhere. In fact, I'm pretty sure there's a justification for the invasion of Finland there. Hello. Okay. Very well. Sasa PKL7 is asking for a shout out because his channel got deleted. Oh, very well. You will be given a shout out. Here it is, officially. You should check out Sasa then, because his channel has been deleted, which probably means he's a base little boy. One of the many to have their channels yeeted in this day and age. See, that's the thing. Official cancellations have actually dropped off drastically, but a lot of people will, of course, be deleted without anyone actually noticing, as the vast majority of YouTubers are sub 1,000 subscribers. I think it's like 98% or something ridiculous like that. I looked at the statistic once over that. It was pretty retarded, but I mean, by YouTube standards, even on this secondary channel, I'm like in the top 98 or something percent, or 2%, no, reverse. Top 98%, that's an achievement, in top 2 or 3% of YouTube channels, which is mildly retarded, because I don't feel particularly big, especially considering some, but then again, this does kind of harken back to the other topic I've talked about multiple times, isn't it? The thing that we need to redefine success when it comes to our workplaces of social media and such nonsense. With Twitter, X, now allowing you to be able to monetize tweets, which is a very interesting thing. Now, currently, you need so many impressions per month that, frankly, it's going to be far out of reach for 99% of people again, but at some point in the future, it will be considered an absolute right for people to be able to monetize their online presence. In fact, it will be viewed as weird and savage that at one point you couldn't monetize your online presence, because most real-life jobs are simply just going to goddamn disappear at some point. Even digital jobs like programming is going to disappear. Stuff like piloting is going to be reduced to just emergency redundancies. And it's not even going to be a pilot. It's going to be some dude sitting in a control center with a 5 million megabytes a second upload link. And everyone's just going to be creating content, essentially. Everyone's going to be a micro vlogger. And to do that, we need to arrive at the point where people can actually make a living off just a few thousand subscribers. Now, how exactly we're going to do that, I'm not really sure, because, of course, right now we're doing it via advertisement and donations, mostly via donations, honestly. Wink, wink, give Arch money, wink, wink. Or actually, stuff like YouTube Premium, right? That is probably a good answer. Having people gain access to benefits. Oh, it's 28 goddamn turns. That's a lot. Oh, it's improved fishing. I'm not even fishing. We'll get started on it. What we'll probably do is we could actually make it into a utility. Unironically, we can make it a utility out of it. Trade route rated. Spain? Wait, I'm still at war with Spain? Hold on. I was not aware of this. Oh, okay. Well, I guess I should invade Spain then. Huh. I had no idea I was actually still at war with Spain, but now that I know, I will immediately go and invade Spain's holdings in the New World, of course. That was a bit of a... Actually, hold on. You could just get on the Navy. Like, the Navy's right there. Speaking of, I do need more Navy boats as well. You could probably turn it into an unironic utility, right? Where because we're gonna nationalize the internet. We are. Sorry, I apologize. I apologize. Regulations Arch is going to step in here yet again and tell you what we're going to do. And it's going to be nationalizing the internet. Because internet is going to turn into a human right. It straight up is. And when we do that, you're probably going to be paying your same internet fees, but it is going to go to a company that is wholly owned by the government. The government is going to be like United States internet, whatever the fuck, right? And it's probably going to be shit. It's probably going to have ass backwards coverage, and it's probably going to crash repeatedly. But that is everything government, so suck it up. And everyone's going to pay into that. And that will probably be used as YouTube Premium, in essence. Where everyone is going to pay $10, $15 or something a month, or $30 something, right? And that is going to be divided across everyone who has an account there and who makes content at least so and so many times a month. Essentially, this will be the minimum living wage that the socialists bitch about. You're going to have, like, oh god, and it's going to be an interesting world. Because it's also going to end up where if everyone's a private person and no one's a private person, it also means that every piece of drama is public drama. Like, if you say something mean about your aunt might know about it. If you curse out your boss might know about it. If in a moment of frustration you say something mean about your children's going to know about it, and so on. It is going to be a enormous change in human society, but it's where we're headed. We are absolutely headed in that direction. Unless we end up, frying all of our electronics and returning to the 17th century, in which case we won't. But as manufacturing jobs will eventually, again, disappear, we will need to find a way to just monetize online content. And if everybody's going to do it, you're going to have to lower the minimum standard to be able to earn from it significantly. Because if 2% of people can earn a living and 98% can't, well, that's going to be a unstable system. Rather unstable. Where everyone else is just going to live off governmental food coupons. Put it like this. You can either have a future where you will simply live off government food coupons, Or you can have a future where you'll be a microblogger and you'll be paying $30 for internet, but you'll actually be earning money like more or less an average living off your microblogger nonsense. And you could do whatever microblogging. You could do like a microbrewer. I make beer in my backyard. Why? Or you could dig a hole. It's like, my current project is to dig a hole under my house. Why? I don't know. I'm going to dig a hole to my garage. Why again? That way I can get into the garage when it's raining without getting wet. Alrighty then. Or become a professional eater. We talked about that last time too. That is a... Imagine that, right, on the dating market. You're looking for Mrs. Right. And she's like, so, what do you do? And it's like, I eat tremendous quantities of food. Yeah, okay. But, like, for a living. Yep, that's for a living. What? How? I have a YouTube channel where I eat a mountain of roast potatoes every weekend. And that earns money? Oh yeah, I'm a millionaire. Unironically. We're also going to see a sharp increase in people dying while streaming as well. There was another one of those the other day. A Chinese person, because they're all Chinese it seems like, who died after having streamed Genshin Impact for 5 days. How do you even play Genshin Impact for 5 days? Like, Savoy, do I like you? Sure. Because surely you'll run out of content at some point, right? 5 days worth of a single video game. I mean, surely you must, I don't know, be done. I mean, how long is this goddamn game storyline? Oh, Cherokee Territories are issuing demands again. Oh, never mind. They've simmered down. Worker strike? What do you mean? You're on 0. You're fine. Don't bitch at me when you have no reason to bitch, damn Indians. Oh. I saw that reason. Okay, let's not do that. There. Pay taxes, you dirtbags. Although I might need to add in some garrison now, because I'm starting to research stuff that decreases public order. People are starting to get ideas above their station. That might require a military presence to make sure that they don't get any silly notions of liberty or freedom in their minds. Garrison policing bonus. Yep. I built one of those there. And there, that should calm down the masses a little bit. Now, you are going to get on that boat, like a good boy. And then you are going to ride that boat all the way down to Cuba. Which is guarded by Diddly Dick Nothing. Lovely. Wait. You didn't get on the boat, did you? You fucking... Help me. I said you were gonna get on the boat. Now we're gonna wait another 10 minutes for you to get on the fucking boat. Such is the life. Bong. You know, I really hope Russia burns to the ground already. I really do. I really do. It just needs to die. I hope the Ottomans just murder all of them. That would be beneficial for my turn timer. And eventually he killed over, dead. And I don't even know why. I'm presuming, you know, health reasons. But he stayed alive for 5 days. So he couldn't have forgotten to eat and drink. Because, you know, he kept himself alive for 5 days. Did he, you know, just after the 3rd or 4th day, just stop eating or drinking? Just being like, no, if I get up now, my Genshin Impact grind won't be complete. I just gotta hold out for 5 more minutes. And he kept saying that to himself for 2 days? Maybe. Or, hear me out. That was a quick Russia turn. It looks like Russia did catch fire. Nice. Or maybe, hear me out here. Maybe he actually went to heaven. All right? Maybe what actually happened here. Get on the fucking boat. Thank you. Maybe what happened was that he didn't die, he transcended. He actually entered the reality of Genshin Impact. And now he's living there with his harem of anime waifus. It's a possibility. Wait, are you? No, don't besiege that before me, you dirty children. There you go. All right, you can help me capture it, though. You're not snatching that right in front of my nose, you filthy British cocks. There. But thank you for your help, though, Britain. Much appreciated. Just stay out of my fucking territory next time. I guess we'll grow some tobacco for a change from all of the cotton. Burn the church immediately. We don't like it. Ooh, sugar. Nice. Technological advancements are continuing. We've researched every piece of military tech now. Okay, well, it's time to start revolutionizing industry, I suppose, whilst we continue waiting for the rights of man to be written. Ooh. Level 2, shooty shooty bang bang. Yes, please. Build that in all the relevant places. Perhaps we all got it wrong, like everyone. See, some people are like, oh no, you gotta bury your dead to go to heaven. Some people are like, you gotta burn your dead to go to heaven. Some people are like, no, you gotta eat your dead to go to heaven. Oh boy. No. The only way to go to heaven is to literally die playing Genshin Impact. Now, I admit, this is a somewhat narrow focus theory. Nor do I have any proof for it either, but hey, that's religion in a nutshell, so don't look at me strangely. And it could be any other mobile game too. Maybe this is the portal to the universe of your choice. If you're a butt kind of guy, maybe you need to die playing Nika. Right? If you like women who weigh on a average 2,000 to 3,000 tons, Azure Lane's your ticket. Any volunteers to try it out, chat? Any ideas on how you're going to contact us if you do? Oh, God. See, I guarantee you, at some point in history, there will have been an experiment to figure out if there's life after death, with somebody like figuring out some retarded way to try and contact people after he's dead. I guarantee you that has been an experiment somehow, somewhere, at some point. Oh boy, this is actually a really, really fucking good island, huh? That is 3 plantations on one goddamn island. Sweet baby Jesus. Alright, well, build the commercial port too. Jesus, Cuba's amazeballs. I wish I'd invaded it before. Huh. Right, minor excursion aside, get back up there. So you can go home now, Brits. There's no reason for you to stay here on my shores. Like, a British army of maroon rebel insurgents and buccaneers. I can recruit buccaneers too now. I don't know if I want to. I don't And African musketeers. I see. I can recruit buccaneers and African musketeers. Well, I appreciate the opportunity, but I think that might be kind of worthless in the long run, honestly. I need to be bringing garrisons down here. Oh God, there's lots of Spain to conquer. I just realized that Spain is a colonial power, and I can take all of their shit. Well, this is quite the revelation. Okay, let's start producing some... Don't we have some American mobs here? Pioneer militia? Nope. Planters! Yes! Oh God, I don't have enough money. Start recruiting planters. Enormous numbers of plantation owners. We will control the South. And we will do it in the most classic of ways. Alright, okay. Here's the way you do it, right? Here's the way you do it. Well, fuck you very much, Fernando Gotts. Oh, I forgot to move that, didn't I? Yep, okay, can you move down? No, just join the fucking Allied fleet that's right there, you... absolute fucking retards. I forgot about that fleet, otherwise I could have just had them be, you know, join up there. But no. Of course not, that would be far too easy. Oh, at least their little tiny fleet is no threat to my actual major trade fleet, so... But, okay, listen here. You know Ouija boards, right? They communicate with spirits, right? So all we really need to do is have one of you little rat bricks sacrifice yourselves for the good of all by playing Nike for 5 days, and then we'll be ready, you know, for when you're done of all this nonsense. When you're passing on from this mortal life and moving on to anime heaven, we can just get to the Ouija board and just ask, like, so, did it work? Simple yes or no question. Huh? And you'll obviously know the plan, because, well, you'll have sacrificed yourself for this plan, duh. And you'll tell us. Now, of course, there is the every possibility that you might lie. I don't know. We'll have to pick somebody trustworthy. Which, I don't know if... See, okay, that's the problem too, right? What if the hypothesis is correct, but you've got to share heaven with everybody else who arrives after you? Suddenly, some people might not be so cooperative. Suddenly, some people might decide to start keeping secrets. Skeptical. I don't know. In the end, maybe this entire idea just isn't actually that good. I know. It's a long shot, but it might be that we should simply just not try to go to anime heaven by killing ourselves whilst playing Genshin Impact. It might simply just be better to, you know, stay alive. It's the coward's way out, I admit, but it does have certain advantages in terms of reliability. Noah R. donates $50. Thank you very much, sir. Very generous. And sends a little sticker of a Shiba Inu with fireworks. Why is it always a Shiba Inu? I feel like YouTube is really fond of those dogs. He also says, I don't want to share a heaven. See, that's the thing, right? That's the problem with the Muslims might be discovering right about now. The 72 virgins, right? Oh, if we go to heaven, there's 72 virgins waiting in heaven. All right.
Heresy's the question. Fire
But what
is
if
the
there is
answer.
just 72 virgins in heaven? What if that is the total population of heaven? 72 virgins. There's an awful lot of of martyrs in heaven right now. Those 72 virgins are going to be really tired at this point. really sick of their existence, I imagine. Honestly, I'm starting to think that the martyrs themselves might start to be getting rather sick. I didn't load the fucking boats again, because for some reason you've got to press a separate goddamn button to load the fucking boats. Okay, just hold on there, Mr. what are your name? Roland Bridgerman. It's reinforcements are coming. Garrison relief is on its way. It's encountering some technical difficulties, that's all. Some technical complications. Oh boy, we can actually pass the turns now for the first time in goddamn forever. Just upgrade all of that, even if it's not going to be, worthwhile or necessary, because it reduces the cost of research. And if we can reduce the cost of research enough, we might eventually get to the rights of man. There was also... So, the issue with a lot of these old books, right, is that it's written in lots of old-timey nonsense, much of which is very difficult to discern these days. There is an alternative translation of the passage that promises 72 virgins. That alternative passage promises 72 perfect raisins, rather than 72 virgins. You can see how somebody might be disappointed if they arrive in Muslim heaven, and there's God in all his glory, and he reaches down with one titanic hand and opens it up and reveals 72 raisins. Now, they are 72 perfect raisins, like, they're really fucking good raisins. Like, if you knew raisins, you would know that these were 72 perfect raisins. But anticipation might still somewhat, sweep the legs underneath the wow factor of all of that. There, now we've got an army. Get. So, let me guess, this is gonna, that's gonna rebel hard, so. Over there you go, and... where did I put the rest of the fleet? That's a fantastic question. There's the rest of the fleet. Okay, well... I mean, you don't use fuel or anything, so I see no reason to split you up, seeing as there could be a massive fleet lurking here somewhere. So we should probably be ready for its appearance. Am I building the last ship? I am. Okay. Right. America's enormous fleet of little retarded frigates is almost ready. It's too late to defend my interests against the French, but it might be just in time to defend my interest against somebody else. In fact... we should start building Indiamen again. So then I'll have a ready-made fleet of Indiamen standing by and prepared to go and rejoin the slave trade. As it should always be. Plus, it's been peaceful for a very long time now. I'm sure France is itching to re-engage. Oh shit, new town emerges. I should have looked at that warning, because new towns are really, really, really important. See, this mod actually introduces a system where the towns on the map are not the only towns on the map. There will actually emerge new towns on the map as your population numbers increases. I can't afford to build anything there, but I know about it now. And there we go. Yep, well, I was saying that France was probably itching to go, and here we are. Adoman asks, what if it's 72 kibs? Well, it'll be really fucking loud. It's going to be really fucking loud. I mean, can you imagine 72 kibs in a confined area? Jesus Christ. The volume alone must make your ears bleed, surely. I also want to point out, they didn't mention any genders, so it's entirely possible it could be 72 virgins of whichever person you found most annoying in the world. And you look up at the sky, and again, there's Allah in all of his magnificence and glory, and he's looking down at you, And he is laughing his fucking ass off. Because, in his mind, this was one hell of a joke. This was one fuck of a practical joke, in fact. And you can hardly disagree. You kind of got to see the humor in it at that point. You kind of just got to look up and go, yeah, you got me there. Could you please spare me? Could you please spare me? What about hell? Is hell occupied? Like, no, we keep cozy little spots down there for the people who arrive and are a little bit, disillusioned. What is Muslim hell? I don't know. I have no idea, actually. Is it hot? Is it cold? Is it fiery? Is it filled with the unbeliever, mayhaps? A classical university. I imagine Muslim hell's got to be pretty strident, right? Because, again, the Muslim religion is pretty hardcore, so I would imagine that their version of hell should be pretty big deal. Oh, garrison. There we are. Cuba. A very, very nice little province. I can see why everyone wants to invade this place.
I have lost. Shit.
Dirty French people in the woods. Exterminate them all. Hello, Franz. Are you sure you would not like to reconsider your declaration of war? Seeing as you are painfully outnumbered in every single conceivable... 98 men. I don't remember my demi-cannon unit being quite that massive. Well, before they managed to cheat by joining up together... Oh, is that how that works? I suppose that would be how that works. This place is actually going to need more. There, a couple more of those to keep peace and order. Right, I'm also going to need more pioneers. Planters. I can't afford any more planters. Okay, well, fine. Alright, one last battle. And then we shall wrap it up for pastry break. Yes, the pastry. The pastry is nice and thawed by now. I am disappointed by the lack of European line infantry here. I really need to... Okay, we're going to make America first, and then we're going to have America invade the old world. I think that's good. I think Spain and France are both deserving of the most severe of chastisement. Of the repeated... and very, very unjustified invasions of America. Yet again, I seem to find myself at the bottom of a hill, making my cannons absolutely goddamn worthless. Come now, men of Ireland. One more battle for America. Right, you gonna come at me, or do I have to come at you? I mean, I do technically... Ooh, they've got cannons too. I do technically have cannons, not that I can actually see anything from where I am. But that might be enough to trick them to come out, fight me. Well, they're sending out their... Excuse me? Are you certain that's a... When did I get a 258-man strong horse guard regiment? I mean, I don't mind. In fact, I'm very happy that I've gotten a 258-man horse guard regiment. It's gonna make them significantly more effective. Twice as effective, actually, but, I don't remember getting that. I don't remember that being possible either. Huh. It seems I have discovered a very creative way to cheat in Empire Total War. I wish I knew what I'd done. Because that is one oomphy motherfucking unit. That is one ridiculously oomphy motherfucking unit. All of the other units are the same size. Huh. Yeah, that's a line breaker and a half right there. So that's 500 heavy horse in 2 units. Oh boy. Well, that'll be useful in America. We're not disbanding that regiment, I'll tell you that much. Oh, that is just lovely. Ah. Nice little regiment of dragoons. You know? Oh, really? Oh, are you... Okay. Are you absolutely certain you want to do this? Like, Vive la France! We are the only Frenchmen in this regiment. We will have to defend this place by ourselves. Our native allies can't be trusted. So, what's that over there? Oh, Jesus, no. And thus was the flower of France plucked. Right. That was pretty effective. Mounted tribal auxiliary. Here, I'll just throw a small unit at you. As if cavalry wasn't good enough already. See, this is kind of reminding me of the good old days of Medieval 2, you know? Where cavalry was just the best. Where you had heavy knights, heavy gothic fucking knights that could just charge through and smash entire armies. Like 4 units of heavy gothic knights as they begin picking up speed and smashing into the enemy. Oh, that's a sight to behold. That's really nice. Damn, they got a really good volley off on me there, actually. Oh boy, I might actually have underestimated them there a little bit. The tribal auxiliary got a really good volley off on them, and they're starting to flag a bit. Meanwhile, Das Große Cavalry Regiment. Oh yeah, they're gonna need help. Actually, they won. Good job. You survive, it might fuck up. Very impressive, very impressive. These guys lying behind their fences. They see like 3 Frenchmen run past screaming in French. They start looking at each other, speaking their native languages. Basically meaning, why are they running? I thought they went to defeat the white man that was coming. I don't know. Where are they running? Maybe we can ask those other white people over there. They've got horses too. It's an awful lot of them, aren't there? Yes. They seem to be coming this way. Awfully quickly, too. Wow. Luckily, they're coming at us from our rear, and so they couldn't possibly be hostiles, right? Because our French commander would never tell us to lay down behind a fence the wrong way. And so another flower of not quite France was plucked. Oh, decided to come back, did you? Okay. Well, I mean, I have been a great proponent of, utilizing battlefield cover to one's advantage, and wanting it to be a good usage for the dragoons, but this was not how I imagined it to be used, really. This seems like a poor use of battlefield terrain, if anything. Oh, here comes the general. I do like the look of the French general unit, though. They got nice uniforms, if nothing else. I also don't mind the Royal French Battle Standard. I really don't. I actually think it's kind of good. Like, we're covered in fleur de lis. Yeah, it's a pretty good one. Alright, man. Reform. Ordered lines, if you please. Oh, here they all come, apparently. You know, even though outnumbered, I've got a feeling I can maybe, pull this off. Who needs an army when you have a lot of cavalry? I am currently engaging 3 enemy units with a single unit of horse, which is a novel experience. And an effective one, as it turns out. Well, chat, if anyone might know how this bug occurred, please do tell, as I feel like this one might be worth abusing. A lot. Oh, I kind of hope now that the enemy get big units too, though. I hope it is actually a tech, as somebody suggested in chat, because I'm loving the huge units. I'm just feeling that it might be a little bit unfair if my enemy doesn't get something at least, you know, somewhat in the same scale. The French general, a bit confused as to what the fuck's going on here, has seen his entire army of native militia routed in front of him by the enemy's formation of, you know, leading scout cavalry, as the actual infantry hasn't arrived yet. They're coming, though. They're doing their little march across the ground already covered by French dead. Oh well. You know, not everyone can be a dashing cavalryman. We've got to remember this. Some amongst us have got to be poor Irish foot sluggers too. These 4 units of cavalry have actually, unironically, no shit, defeated this entire army. All of it. By their lonesome. And there's more random irregulars chilling in cover up there. I think the cavalry, I think the cavalry wants to play some more. I think the cavalry wants to play with the cannons. Well, I guess we'll turn the direction of march and head up here instead. The village is proving a little bit difficult to navigate. Classic Total War pathfinding AI. Luckily, the cannons did not have grape shot loaded in time, and interesting, we have apparently blinking phasing Indians. That was the French's secret weapon. Indians capable of phasing in and out of space and time. A novel weapon. But in the end, a pretty pointless one. So, is any of the infantry going to, nope. Nope, it doesn't look like it. Well, efforts were made. The poor infantry. Oh, the poor infantry. 136 men lost. 1,256 killed. Now that's what I call a one-sided battle right there.
Mark, sir.
Jesus fucking Christ. Do I have any... Have I... Oh my god, I've got more of them. Oh my fucking Jesus, I've got more of them. How did I get them? How is there... Is there anything... Misfire army campaign. Upkeep cost. I mean, I don't see any research that says mass fucking cavalry horde on them. Well, as I invade France, the natives are gonna get a fucking surprise. Stupid nephew. All right. What about down here? No, those are 100. Okay.
We can't do that, sir.
So, somehow, and I haven't the faintest how, we've managed to create cavalry units. When I recruit them, no, they're recruited 100 men still too, so it's not a research. We've managed to create cavalry units at the same size as infantry units. Well, fucking well. Oh boy, that's a big one. I feel as if my cavalry might be able to take on this battle by themselves, though, but, actually, no, this is a big battle. We'll finish the big battle. Then we'll wrap up, and then I'll do the rest off-screen so we can finally get to America, because there's another, like, 10 turns of fucking research left. Bold of you to challenge the cavalry army. Very brave, sir. Very foolish, but very brave. To be fair, this is one of my asser armies, though, because a big bunch of it is fucking pikemen that have been with me since the beginning of this game. And honestly, there's not a lot of things pikemen are very good for, straight up. There are very, very few things pikemen do well. Matching up against enemy cavalry, I suppose. They could sort of, kind of, in a way, do that. That's possible. Even then, I don't think they would do it particularly well, but that is one thing they can do. Alright, little pikeman. You're going to be standing by in the village here in the hopes that the French will be dumb enough to send someone in it to fight you. We'll have to receive these normally. They are within bombardment range. Little dragoon regiment. Dragoon regiment. They're bringing in more cavalry. That's fine. I am content to sit here and wait for them. They're going to be able to have quite a lot more dudes than me initially, but that is all right. Oh wait, no, they aren't, because this is Empire Total War, and Creative Assembly hasn't even introduced the technology of 40 unit stacks yet, have they? If there's more than 20 units, they just don't get any more reinforcements, do they? Or do they? I mean, that is quite a lot of units. Maybe they do. Maybe they do. Mounted Tribal Auxiliary. Are you... You're ranged units. Okay. In that case, I'll meet you with the infantry. Keep the 2 cavalry regiments over there as a reserve. And keep the 2 enormous fuck-off sledgehammer regiments back there. And the cannons will continue pounding dirt for the immediate future. Do shoot at the horsemen. They're larger and more difficult to miss. The TCV Titan says, that was a typo. It's 72 Virginians. Oh, that was 20 minutes ago. Omen. Sorry, the Boog gave you ponies. That was nice of Boog. It was very nice of Boog to give ponies, yes. I'm sad they're not anthropomorphic ponies, though, because I imagine anthropomorphic ponies would be fucking scary to the natives. Like, they were just getting used to normal horses, and now there's horses but people. I imagine that would be incredibly frightening to the people of this era. Okay.
I have lost. Shit.
We're going for some hardcore flankage here. Maybe the pikemen will actually have an opportunity to do something useful after all. Wait. Your bows outranged me. Oh, sweet baby fucking Jesus. Why? Why, video game? Alright, advance them up. There, we can form you into pike squares around our side there to protect the cavalry. I would have loved it if they were pike and shot squares, mind you, so that they could do that properly and well, but at least that will present them with a little bit of a pokey side if they want to try and get in through there. Pikemen. Of course, they could just ride up to them and start shooting them with complete and utter impunity, but at least then they will die relatively slowly, and they will buy me time to panic and find out something else to do. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Nope. Nope, 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 nope. Slaves armed with axes. What are you? You got axes too? Nope. I know how much damage those fucking axes do. Big nope. Actually, here you go. This'll be not quite a pike and shot formation, but kind of. It'll be something vaguely resembling a pike and shot formation. Die, axe-wielding savages. Okay, that does open up a good old-fashioned bit of a hole in my front line, though, so let's move down there quickly to plug it. as the enemy considers how exactly they're gonna... More slaves armed with axes? Okay, well, shit. I was going to play this straight, but I know how much damage they do, and I'm not gonna let them. Uh-oh. Stop that, please. Stop killing my men, if at all possible. But if they're gonna bring slaves with axes, then I am gonna throw cavalry at them. That's just how that's gonna have to be. I mean, God, even with a couple of volleys they got off, they've actually done enormous damage to the cavalrymen. Goodness gracious. Right, how's my pike and shot working out? Somewhat, actually, somewhat. I want you to point that direction. But somewhat. Good job. Despite the ridiculous odds, you have somehow managed to break through their front line. Cavalry. Cavalry good. Oh, you're getting a bit close now. I don't know about that. I don't think I'm going to let you charge my poor little rangers. And oh, hello there. I didn't see you, unfortunately. And this is why I wish these were pike and shot. If they were pike and shot, they would actually be really effective in doing this. But they are not pike and shot. They are just pike.
Question. Fire is the answer.
I forgot just how ridiculously hard the Indians outshoot European troops. I'm gonna have to charge in there. Alright, well, you guys just make sure none of that rallies and get as much casualties in them as possible. Apparently, the Rangers elected to charge the enemy. A puzzling, yet apparently effective decision. This really is backwards land, though, isn't it? Right. So, the Europeans beat the shit out of the Native Americans in melee, and lose really badly at range. I feel as if there's something very wrong with this situation. I feel as if whoever made this particular balancing decision may not have been intelligent, necessarily. Yeah, most of those have been slaughtered. Oh, don't. What are you doing? There's also the fact that slaves armed with axes are one of the most terrifying units in the game, due to their incredible ranged DPS. That, too, seems a bit silly. Still 30 men left up there. Jesus. Okay, you can deal with that. And you chase those down. Okay. Hold your fire. At least they die easy. I like that. He just moved back there and stabbed her in the face with a pike. Real calm-like. Alright, we've got some long streams of fleeing troops. Okay, reform the infantry lines. And we can have the rangers deal with the little archers that remain. Did you rally? No, you did not. Any cavalry with nothing to do. Yes, the big boy cavalry squad, but that's fine. We'll keep that back there. As we await the next wave of enemy reinforcements. Making sure that as few of those god-awful slaves make it back home as possible, of course. The temptation to try and go all the way up here and simply sit on their reinforcement area is near overwhelming. But I shall resist. Good. Right, return to base. I'll rebuild your morale a little bit. Several units did take way too big of a beating there. These three can be taken off the line. And we'll turn them into a little bit of a melee reserve. And those who remain will reform. Bowman. Kill. Tempting to send out the rangers to try and skirmish with them, honestly. But if there's any cavalry in that advancing army, the rangers are going to get kind of overwhelmed and murdered awfully quickly. There's also the fact that I don't think the rangers actually outshoot them particularly well. Although, let's make a little bit of an experiment out of that, shall we? I want to know how good they are at shooting. Because the native musketeers beat the European ones quite a bit. And it does make sort of pseudo-kind of little bit of sense. Because the natives with muskets were probably going to be the best hunters amongst their tribe as well. So they're going to be accurate. So I can kind of see that argument. But when it comes to massed musket volleys... $204, 197. Alright, yeah, no, the Rangers definitely do outshoot them. That's nice to know. But I do have a much quicker way of dealing with Native Americans. Much quicker way. That does make me kind of want to try and skirmish, though. So let's... Oh, don't let them just get away like that. Too late. I don't want to risk the cavalry taking any more unnecessary damage, as I don't have that many of them left. Relatively speaking, anyways. We've got one cavalry formation to provide close protection against enemy cavalry. And we can afford to skirmish a little bit here. Oh yeah, they are definitely outshooting them quite nicely. Not as nicely as I would have liked, but... Considering they are cowards and hide on their bellies... I suppose that's all you can expect. Do I want to fire the cannons? Yes. Yes, I do. Hoping that it's not going to kill too many of my own dudes. Oh. You gonna try and charge me? Oh no, you're axe throwers, aren't you? Oh god. Okay, well, your axe thrower is standing right in front of 2 units of rangers. Surely that can't be that dangerous. 182. Oh, look at that. They killed like 10 dudes in one volley. Axe throwers, the single most dangerous units in the entire goddamn video game. Unironically. Oh no. The game crashed. Ah. God damn it. Well, I suppose that'll be the wrap-up then. Not quite the highlight I was hoping for, but good enough for government work. Well, I'll do the research off-screen until the next stream then, so we can finally actually become America. Actually America. Fully America. Colonials, one and all. And we've got to do an invasion of Europe. We got to do an invasion of Europe. I want to see how infantry in Europe fights compared to the savages. I'm hoping they fight in more organized, civilized ways, honestly. Let's see. Is there anyone to raid today? Only Dev. You know what? You know what? Oh, actually, no, not Dev. Only Kib. Oh, you know what? We don't like Kib today. Kib promised me he was going to help out casting a Blood Bowl match yesterday. Do you know what Kibs did? You know what Kibs did? Kibs didn't fucking show. Kibs is a Jew. And a traitor. And an American. And worse still, he is a Kib. And so, we are going to withhold raiding on Kibs today. He is a Judas, and shall be kept from raids for at least a few days. To teach him a lesson about promptness and punctuality, which, let's be honest here, that's probably a very, very, very good thing. He needs it. He needs it indeed. Until next time, thank you all very much for watching, and I do hope to see you all again soon, which will be tomorrow with the ArchCast, and probably Sunday with the D&D stream. Probably. Rags has said he's probably free, so probably. Until then, have a good day.